Stick with me, we're following Marcus. A month ago, everything flipped upside down. Crazy creatures showed up out of nowhere. Total mystery. The moon turned glowing red. The sun went totally dim. Humanity? We went from running the show to just trying to survive this chaotic new reality. The capital city held its ground for a month. Shanghai, taken over in less than a week. Whole countries vanished off the map. Japan got totally overrun by just one level 5 boss, a massive 8-headed serpent. They threw everything at it, but nothing even made a scratch. The final radio broadcast played today, the 5th one this month. A mysterious elder named James a Seer, holding sequence 009, confirmed the capital was lost. He warned everyone to avoid big cities. Crowds just attract more trouble. Keep moving, stay in small, cheerful groups. Then, pure static swallowed his voice completely. It just repeated that we will endure over and over until total silence. Marcus was down south in a tiny mountain village, excitedly scavenging empty houses for leftover snacks. He wasn't a local, just a tourist caught in the madness. His home is thousands of miles away, up in the northeast. Nobody is waiting for him there, but he needs a strong goal. In this wild new world, running out of supplies isn't the scariest part. It's losing your spark entirely. He sprinted through the rooms, cheerfully stuffing every single snack into his backpack. Everyone else was doing the exact same thing, totally frantic and greedy. People were acting totally wild over a pack of instant noodles. A month of this crazy game completely shattered all the old rules we followed. Suddenly, a loud scream echoed and abruptly stopped. He didn't even look back. He swung his pack on, grabbed his snack bag, readied his trusty blade, and sprinted straight for the village exit like a champion. While everyone else froze and stared in total shock, he was already 100 meters out. He knew exactly what arrived: a first-order bullhead beast. Insane strength, lightning fast, and easily able to toss the toughest fighters around like absolute wet clay. A totally brutal opponent. People were shouting behind him, but he kept his eyes forward and just bolted away. Now watch this closely. He's hauling over 100 pounds of gear, but still outrunning the crowd. Being faster than everyone else is his ultimate trick. He doesn't need to outrun the monster, he just has to outrun them. Up on the rooftops, a mystery girl leaped across buildings like an epic martial arts hero. Easily zooming past, gritting his teeth, he followed her trail right out of the village. Down at the village entrance, everyone was panicking wildly around the parked cars. Some men were frantically yanking at the door of his black pickup truck. He boldly kicked one away and brought his blade down in a swift, stunning strike on another. Reaching for his keys, mess splashed across his face. He didn't flinch. These days, everyone left is a bit wild. The others immediately scattered, realizing this teenager was totally fearless and definitely not someone they wanted to mess with today. Jumping into his truck, he noticed those exact same bullies rudely drag a mother and daughter out of another car and snatch their keys away. He couldn't intervene. The massive beast was charging. Engines roared to life as an awesome modified Land Rover zoomed ahead. Then an SUV carrying the rooftop girl. Then his pickup in third place. Rule 1 of epic convoy survival: never fall behind, or it's game over. They drove until the danger was miles away, and finally slowed down. You and I knew it'd be close, only a fraction of the 300 made it. Others rolled up on scooters as he parked and collapsed. His lungs were burning, his throat felt super dry. Above him, the truck ceiling was completely covered in writing. 2 simple words repeated everywhere: go home. That's his ultimate motivation. No matter what happens, he wants to make it back to the very roots that raised him. He pulled a crumpled little box from his pocket, held it by his nose, and breathed in. The scent was super faint and dusty, so he put it away. He doesn't actually use them. Bad habits just slow you down. It drains precious energy, but keeping it is a great reminder that he's pushing forward. Taking one careful sip of water, he happily organized the back seat. A massive pile of all the awesome scavenged gear he had bravely gathered to survive, and grabbed his blade. A countdown ticked. 300, 299, to 98. He bravely ignored it, stepped out of the truck, and scanned the epic convoy with a decisive look. He quickly spotted those 2 guys who tried to swipe his truck, the ones taking that family's car. People totally made way as he confidently strolled past, blade in hand. The fierce guy is coming, someone whispered. He's tall, super strong, and totally covered in monster mud. Up front, A suited guy nudged the convoy leader. Jake, he's about to totally wreck someone. Aren't you going to jump in and stop him right now? Jake, chilling in his Land Rover, just raised an eyebrow. That kid is epic. He might actually be an awakened hero with the rare sequence. He was seriously almost as fast as me. I'm definitely not picking a fight with the powerhouse like that over two absolute jerks. Victor, you've got military training. You're not gonna step in? Victor just shrugged playfully. That was 2 years ago. So what do you and I think happens next? People vanish daily now. Plus, did you see his flawless technique? Incredible. Alright, you and I are diving into a wild apocalypse. I am definitely avoiding that guy. His power might beat mine. Plus, stealing my truck? Oh, I would completely retaliate. I marched straight up to the red sedan, knocking firmly on the glass. Open up, before I shatter it completely. Inside, the terrified driver gulped hard, rapidly exchanging panicked glances with the guy in the passenger seat. These two clowns literally tried stealing my truck earlier. When that totally failed, they aggressively took a vehicle from a helpless mother and her young daughter. Both girls huddled together in the back. The passenger acted tough for exactly 2 seconds. They muttered something about jumping me. No chance. I slammed my blade right through the window, tightly grabbed the driver by his hair, and forcefully yanked him out. I finished him off before his buddy could even blink. Your turn, I calmly said. All his fake bravery vanished instantly. He started crying and begging, eagerly offering the car, his precious supplies, and even the terrified family in the back to survive. Absolute, total scum. Anything just to survive. An angry voice shouted behind me. I spun around. A fierce schoolgirl stood there, gripping an epic glowing sword that literally made my eyes sting just by staring at it. An actual spirit weapon. My survival instinct screamed to take her down and grab it, but I clearly sensed she was way stronger than me. Fighting her meant instant defeat and game over. Her name? Elena. She looked incredibly intense, but I easily realized she had never actually finished anyone off. Before, her tough attitude was purely defensive. Armor, likely sent by the convoy leaders to carefully test my limits. Are you going to deal with him or what? She snapped, pointing her shiny blade. Watch closely. Trash does not belong here. If you hesitate, I will gladly remove him myself. Honestly, I almost burst out laughing. She could not even look at the scene. I will handle it, I replied, and I absolutely did. Quick, clean, and totally efficient. Elena flinched hard and turned away. Underneath all that dramatic bluster, just a college student. Without her immense strength and scary act, she would have perished long ago. I searched the vehicle, scoring 2 stuffed backpacks full of supplies. Those eliminated guys had carefully gathered. I claimed both. Then I casually pulled out some crackers, a few instant noodles, and a fresh water bottle, gently tossing them to the terrified woman in the back. Payment for the broken window. Clean up this mess yourself. I walked back to my truck silently. Behind me, I distinctly heard Elena muttering about the ruthless survivor actually having a tiny shred of humanity. She basically told the mother exactly what I was silently thinking. Kids are total liabilities in this harsh, apocalyptic wasteland. Everyone claims children represent the future, but when ensuring your personal survival is impossible, the future honestly feels like a distant luxury. Back inside my pickup, I took inventory. 30 pounds of rice, 20 pounds of flour, oil, seasonings, a case and a half of instant noodles, sausages, 5 pounds of crackers, 3 bags of stale bread, 20 pounds of vegetables, and around 20 liters of precious water and drinks. The back seat was packed incredibly solid. The truck bed held everything else. Clothes, sleeping bag, small tent, portable stove, basic tools. Basically months worth of essential supplies, if carefully rationed. Water was my only real shortage. You and I both saw this coming, right? My internal countdown hit 0. An invisible energy wave swept through, and wild information totally flooded my mind. Sequence 7. The Shepherd. 0 level cap. Skills include plunder and borrow. The crazy description honestly read like a joke. Dear farm owner, absolutely every living thing on your farm becomes your asset, talents included. Pure energy surged through me like a violently rushing river. My muscles painfully tore and rebuilt. My bones loudly cracked and reformed. Once it finished, I felt absolutely unstoppable. I was physically completely on par with any combat type sequence user of the exact same tier. This was my main primary sequence. Top 10. Literally one of the legendary kings. When monsters attacked last month, some humans fully awakened powers called sequences. Uniquely numbered and ranked. The brutal odds? 1 in 10,000. But it actually gave humanity genuine hope. James, holding sequence 9, the seer, publicly broadcasted his knowledge, giving everyone a crucial, basic understanding of all these sequences and terrifying spirit. Creatures. Top 10 sequences remain unique. Only one lucky person holds each, and the shepherd never levels up normally. Instead, it grows massively stronger strictly by meeting highly specific conditions. The first condition sounded incredibly simple. Just gather 100 people around, and keep everyone totally safe for one day. Simple, but it took an entire month. Every single time I got super close, my numbers fell short or monsters destroyed the group. I once joined a massive convoy exceeding 1,000 people. A level 2 creature easily scattered us. Less than 1 in 10 survived. I desperately fled with a dozen stragglers. By the time I finally reached this current convoy, every single last one of them perished. The only reason I survived was my secret. Second sequence. Sequence 91. Ghost Eye. Level first order. With epic skills like illusion and penetration, it literally lets me detect absolutely everything within 3 kilometers. People, monsters, creatures. Literally everything. It also granted a basic physical enhancement, which explains why I can outrun practically anyone. Even while heavily loaded down with survival gear, I met pathfinders scanning 5 kilometers for safe routes. You and I just witnessed the start. Trust me, things get way crazier from here. Stick with me. We are about to see why his Ghost Eye is the ultimate survival tool out here. He senses everything, not just danger. Plus, he has this super handy low-level illusion ability. He can pull targets straight into mental traps. Normal humans get stuck for 60 seconds. Sequence holders? 10 seconds. Against monsters, barely 3 seconds for first-order beasts. It is not as specialized as a pathfinder, but taking pure versatility over range is smart. Suddenly, a knock hits his window. Elena, the mysterious girl with the spirit blade, stands outside. The boss wants to see him. She drops that single line and leaves. The convoy finally noticed him, which is perfect. He actually needed this. His shepherd sequence just unlocked 2 epic new skills. Plunder and borrow. He can permanently steal a sequence ability, or just borrow it for 1 hour without harming them. But there is a catch. He can only hold 1 stolen sequence. Plus, both skills only activate if he becomes the convoy leader and targets a member directly, under his own command. So, he must become the boss. Grabbing his trusty machete, he heads toward the front, where 3 people are chilling around a tiny campfire. Jake, Victor, and Elena, the only 3 awakened in their group. Jake offers him a smoke. Since the shepherd completely rebuilt his physical body, he does not have to worry about it slowing him down anymore. He lights it and takes a deep drag. That rush reminds him he is still breathing. Jake then asks, "What is your name, my brother?" "Marcus." Jake grins warmly. "I am Jake, convoy leader. Sequence 375. Hunter class. I sense highly dangerous targets within 1 kilometer and fight well in close combat." Victor speaks next. Victor, sequence 278. Constable. Cold weapon mastery and physical enhancement. Elena speaks up last, still polishing her eerie black blade. The magical patterns on it seem to move and swim across the metal like living things. Elena, sequence 175. Wandering swordsman. Jake leans forward. "We are all combat types. My sensing range is just 1 kilometer. Watch this." They desperately need a scout. Without one, they are blind, because the land expanded tenfold when monsters arrived. Old maps are completely useless. We barely even know where we are. Sequence 91. Marcus declares boldly. Ghost Eye. Complete silence. Then Jake shoots straight to his feet. 91. A scouting sequence. He grabs his hand like he just proposed to him. "Brother, please join my team." Marcus calmly pulls his hand back and tosses his cigarette butt straight into the glowing fire. My ability gives me a godlike view of everything within 3 kilometers. Monsters, people, literally all of it. He pauses. You know what treatment a Pathfinder deserves in any convoy? The hidden meaning is crystal clear. Our guy wants that leader seat. Victor and Elena stare at Jake. 1 month of running taught everyone this harsh lesson. Scout sequences are natural-born leaders. Here, without eyes, a convoy is just people stumbling toward their doom. Jake laughs happily and waves his hand in the air. Why are you looking at me? Marcus is obviously the right person for this tough job. The seat is completely his. No hesitation, zero wounded pride. Jake is super smart. The leader position does not come with real power anyway. Everyone eats their own supplies. Nobody actually follows orders. It is literally just a title meaning you drive the lead car. I know what you're thinking. Better to give it to someone, keeping them alive while he stays muscle. Captain, Victor agrees. Captain, Elena echoes. Even she drops the tough act for a brief moment. None of these survivors are fools. That is exactly why they survived so long. Marcus smiles. A very rare thing lately. Then I will take it. But he isn't naive. They follow him strictly for his ghost eye, not actual loyalty. If he gave real orders, they would nod to his face and ignore him completely behind his back. So, what is the plan, Captain? Jake asks. We move, Marcus replies. We keep moving. You all heard that seer broadcast. Stay in one spot, and monsters find you eventually. Those mountains will not save us. He looks at those endless green peaks stretching outward. If hiding in mountains actually worked, this entire province would be totally monster-free by now. Nobody argues. They know the harsh truth just as well. Survival means constant migration. He does not mention he is heading straight north. He isn't even sure he can make it. After a full month of running, he has covered less than 300 kilometers. Most time was spent walking in circles, dodging monsters, and wasting whole days on massive detours just to stay alive. What is the convoy's name? He asks. Jake coughs awkwardly. Why don't you pick one? Basically, there is no name. This isn't a real convoy, just a random group thrown together by pure panic. No wonder Jake gave up that leader spot so incredibly easily. He was never really leading anything. Dawn Convoy, Marcus says. The apocalypse is dark enough already. We might as well give the name some hope. Nobody objects. Next, he asks about their rules. Jake explains their system. Everyone basically fends entirely for themselves. Find your own food. Eat your own food. Zero stealing. Absolutely no attacking anyone within the convoy, or you get instantly kicked out. So what do you and I make of this? Actually, not bad. Other groups share everything, letting a few folks scavenge while the rest just sit around eating for free. Stick with me. Our guy ditched those groups fast. That old system was a disaster. Time for new rules, I declared, casually poking the crackling campfire with a stick. Regular folks contribute 30% of their fines. The rest is theirs. Awakened heroes skip the fee, keeping all trades completely fair and perfectly balanced. Zero stealing allowed. I glanced at my 3 strong teammates. From here on out, whatever our incredible squad gathers gets split completely evenly. As the top scout, my cut is earned. They nodded quickly. Honestly, my phantom skills brought way more value than any regular brawler. No one dared argue about my meals. Will the others actually agree? Jake wondered out loud, eyeing the big crowd of regular survivors. If they refuse, they can walk, I smiled. The journey only gets wilder. Every single supply run guarantees an epic clash with shadow beasts. If they just want free rides, they can look elsewhere. The trio fell silent, totally knowing I made sense. Without our awakened squad distracting the beasts, those folks couldn't safely search a single town. We already saved them big time. Jake agreed instantly. Victor and Elena nodded. I sent Victor out to broadcast the rules and gather their contributions. He looked super grumpy about the chore, but he bravely marched off. Back inside my truck, I checked my shiny Rolex found it abandoned earlier. 1 p.m. The weird, dim sun was already dipping super low. 3 hours until the scarlet moon arrives. Ever since the shadow showed up, daylight keeps vanishing. Sunset used to hit at 7. Now, pitch black by 4. I peeked at the strange sun for a split second, then quickly turned. Pay close attention here. You never stare at that crimson sky, or you completely lose your mind. A harsh lesson. I pulled out an awesome vintage mug I'd snagged from a nearby general store. Bright white with red flowers, plus a giant symbol for happiness. Super sturdy and practical. It works on campfires, gas stoves, or even as a noodle bowl. I prepped my portable stove, shaking the gas half full, leaving only 3.5 cans left for me. Poured the water, then happily dropped in noodles, one sausage, and a braised egg. I definitely wasn't starving today. Our next safe zone could be 30 minutes or 3 whole hours away. Zero way to predict it. Suddenly, loud shouting erupted. Why should we? 30%? That is totally unfair. We never had this rule. I peeked outside. A dozen angry survivors totally swarmed Victor, shouting loudly. The rest nervously hung back, using that loud group as their shield. If Victor folded now, they would swarm him. I stayed seated, totally curious to see his leadership skills in action. He was honestly struggling. His expression darkened, fists tightly clenched. But he somehow maintained his cool composure. These are Captain Marcus's strict orders. Don't like it? Feel free to leave. That bold statement actually silenced a few folks. 1 month into this chaos, leaving awakened heroes meant certain doom. But sharing their precious stash, that felt like losing a literal piece of themselves. You and I know this type. A chubby guy stepped up, faking that righteous community leader vibe. Young man, we are all citizens just surviving together. You absolutely cannot squeeze us dry. You awaken, grab loot so easily. Instead of sharing your extra goodies, you decide to tax us? That is completely unfair. We must team up. The crowd murmured, nodding along. Things were officially getting super dramatic and messy. Then a lady shoved forward. Messy outfit, but clearly former high society. She aggressively jabbed her finger right at Victor's chest. You guys act just like greedy bandits. Folks vanished today. Where were you awakened, heroes, when those wild shadows suddenly attacked? You only bully your own people. Victor glared hard. She stubbornly stood her ground. What? Gonna hit me now? I am just a lady. A giant like you striking me? Victor stayed completely silent. Taking that as a win, she proudly faced the women behind her. Look, they just target the weak. They scored tons of awesome supplies today. As powerful heroes, they must share. We are vulnerable. Demanding 2/3 of their gear is totally reasonable, right? Victor actually burst out laughing. Are you kidding? Why give you our hard-earned loot? That chubby guy instantly jumped back in. Then why should we hand over 30% of ours? Same logic. Victor totally stumbled, completely trapped by that annoying, clever contradiction. The guy pushed his glasses up, eyes scheming. I totally saw through him. A clever talker, who survived by tricking honest folks into carrying his weight. He could barely run 10 steps, but his slick words brought food. Now, he was desperately chasing an advantage, eyeing our amazing stash, and eagerly plotting for a much bigger slice. I just chilled in my seat, slurping noodles, enjoying the drama. We only follow Jake. Where is he? Bring him out. Over by his ride, Jake almost choked on his snack. He coughed loudly, gulped some water, and frantically shouted, I am absolutely not the captain anymore. Marcus is boss. Don't call me. Elena was shaking with silent laughter. Jake glared hard. She fiercely glared right back. Jake totally surrendered. I finished my tasty noodles, placed them inside my truck, grabbed my trusty machete, and confidently approached the loud crowd. We'll leave it here. I am Don Convoy's captain. Any problems? Let's dive right into this wild survival story. Seeing my blade, most protesters quickly slipped away. Only the chubby guy and loud woman stayed, pushed right to the front. The guy tried his luck. Harming folks is illegal. Do not go there. Just share your supplies with us all. Show some community spirit. I saw exactly what his game was. He figured even if I said no, he would look like the reasonable one and win everyone over. Completely. More followers meant more power, and more people to manipulate into feeding him. But my machete totally answered before my mouth did. He went down hard before anyone even screamed. Complete chaos erupted. People shoved, tripped, and literally crawled away on their hands and knees. Victor just twitched his jaw, saying absolutely nothing. I crouched and wiped my blade on the fallen guy's shirt. The apocalypse is here, and you lecture me on laws? You want me locked up? Honestly, a few days in a cell sounds like an amazing vacation. I looked up. Everyone scattered except the loud woman, standing there like a statue. Brave? No way. Her legs totally failed. She could not move. I raised my blade. She collapsed instantly, shaking, sobbing, and begging, offering absolutely anything. Watch closely now. She offered everything. My blade never stopped. I met Victor's eyes. Whatever he planned to say vanished completely. Sometimes a blade works way better than words. I told him she meant trouble. She would turn everyone against us and get the convoy wiped out. Better to finish it. Victor looked at her fallen form. He remembered how she rallied the women against us earlier and firmly set his jaw. You are right, Captain. People like that get everyone ruined. I walked toward the remaining survivors. They backed away, completely terrified. I am captain of Dawn Convoy. My sequence is sensing type. I detect monsters and steer us safely away. Join the convoy, hand over 30% of your loot, and we give protection. We keep you completely safe. I rested the cool machete on my shoulder, smiling. If you refuse to pay, just leave. But outsiders better stay far away, or face consequences. Suddenly, a man in his 30s quickly rushed right up to the front. Captain, I will pay whatever. What is your name? Steve. Sir. He bowed low, super respectful and smart. Before everything collapsed, he was a big corporate executive. He could read the room way better than anyone. He knew pride meant nothing compared to surviving. Good, I said, patting his shoulder. You are in charge of the ordinary survivors now. Track their numbers. Manage their collected supplies. Do a great job, and you will be rewarded. I noticed he had a wife and young son. Family guys are easier to trust. They have way too much to lose. Steve straightened his posture and faced the crowd like a totally reborn leader. Everyone line up right now. Bring out your supplies. The convoy takes 30%. Do not hide anything. Staying safe is what matters. He organized everyone in mere minutes. Great hire. I went to my truck and started eating noodles. You and I know things get desperate here. A shadow appeared. A dangerously thin woman with sunken cheeks and terribly wrinkled clothes stepped right up. But underneath all that starvation, you could easily tell she was once really pretty. Delicate brows and bright eyes. A true beauty fading under intense hunger. Her name was actually Sarah. She clutched a tiny black bag with white knuckles, placed it on the ground, and bowed deeply. Captain, I already paid my 30%. This is absolutely everything I have left. She opened it. A few moldy bread pieces, one cracker pack, half a water bottle, and a single instant noodle packet. Absolutely nothing else. Could I trade this for a vehicle seat? I slurped my noodles. Get lost. Sarah looked super teary when I refused, but she stayed put. Biting her lip, she whispered, Captain, I'd be yours, even a loyal pet. I will do anything, work or obey. You are not worth that much, I replied, eating my noodles. See this bowl? One noodle bowl buys someone in this convoy for 3 whole days. How long would you last? 3 days? 5? Eventually, people get totally bored. I resumed eating. She was not stupid, but just completely ordinary. No sequence, 0 combat skills, and no special value. Not worth protecting. By the time I finished, Sarah vanished. Her red sedan got swiped by some guy. She and her daughter just vanished completely. What a cold guy, Elena muttered, slowly chewing her bread and savoring every single crumb. Why ignore the mother and her daughter? Jake instantly shot back. Your SUV only has you and one other girl inside. Elena rolled her eyes and left. Jake just shook his head. He is definitely better than me. More decisive, but way colder too. Before this, Jake built houses. Make no mistake. You and I know he lacked the guts to lead. Steve reported 153 people chose to stay and pay 30%. 17 left the group. 103 guys. 50 girls remaining. You and I are about to see something wild. Their collected supplies were completely pathetic. Not even half of my personal stash. Seriously broke. I handed Steve 2 bread slices and noodle packs for his hustle. Then I asked about the families of those 2 guys I defeated. That woman traded favors with several guys, who quietly paid up. Meanwhile, the pot-bellied dude left behind a 17-year-old son and a wife. They chose to leave instead. I told Steve to split those supplies for ways and happily deliver the shares to Jake, Victor, and Elena. Grabbing my heavy machete, walked right out of the camp. Steve just watched me go, way too nervous to even look back. He completely figured out my plan to tie up loose ends. That pot-bellied guy's wife and son definitely had not left quietly enough. When I came back with my blade heavily stained, absolutely nobody said a word. Move out, I ordered. My black pickup finally led the convoy. Victor and Jake followed in that modified Land Rover, then Elena's SUV, and Steve's sedan. 20 cars total, carrying over 100 people, trailed by a huge swarm of bicycles and electric scooters. Suddenly, the walkie-talkie crackled. "Captain, any monsters nearby?" 3 kilometers out, just one creature. "We keep moving." I could literally feel their massive relief through the radio. Before me, Jake's sensing range was only 1 kilometer. By the time he spotted anything, it was basically right on top of them. Pay close attention here. They finally had 3 kilometers of warning. That extra distance is an absolute lifetime in this wild world. Far behind us, those 17 who refused to pay watched our entire convoy disappear. Their ringleader, a guy named Rex, puffed his chest out in front of his little group. "We will start our own convoy. We ignore those bullies." He grabbed a pretty woman by the hand, pulling her into his car. Soon enough, the vehicle simply started rocking. His people stood around looking super confused, awkwardly trying to set up camp in the middle of nowhere. 3 seconds later, total screaming, a first-order monster, a terrifying skin splitter, came sprinting out of the distance. Without any awakened fighters to protect them, they were completely doomed. I never looked back. An hour of driving later, my ghost eye perfectly guided us around every monster within a 3-kilometer radius. Finally, we safely reached a gas station. My tank was almost empty. "Stop right here," I announced into the walkie-talkie. Jake walked over, his face looking incredibly tense. His hunter's sense pinged massive danger. "Captain, something is inside the station." "I know. It is a first-order beast. A terrifying human-faced spider." Victor's face went completely pale. "I have fought one of those before." Elena and I together barely held it off. I stared at my fuel gauge. Nearly 0. We desperately need that gas. Without it, the convoy is completely stranded. Nobody argued with me. Gas was sometimes way more precious than food. All 3 of their vehicles were running low too. Victor nervously gritted his teeth. "Let's do this. With all of us here, we can defeat one spider." "I will go first." "Elena, find an opening and finish it." "I know what you are thinking." They naturally left me out of their battle plan. To them, I was just the scout, not the fighter. That honestly suited me perfectly fine. My shepherd sequence gave me real combat strength. But I absolutely was not revealing. I held 2 separate sequences. "Not yet." Victor confidently took point with the long steel rebar. Jake followed closely with the sharp fire axe. Elena brought up the rear with her glowing spirit blade. The ordinary survivors just stayed back and anxiously watched. They had survived long enough to clearly read the signs. The awakened moving so carefully meant something dangerous was waiting inside that gas station. The 3 brave heroes charged right into the gas station. Immediately, a terrifying, loud shriek tore through the air. From the dark shadows, a spider the size of a large dog violently burst out. The infamous human-faced spider. Its huge body was covered in dense, hard bristles. 8 legs looked like curved blades, and its massive mandibles could snap a person clean in half. Victor met it head-on, smashing his steel rebar against its 2 front legs. The epic impact rang out like crashing metal. The sheer force buckled his knees. "Jake, help out." Jake fiercely swung his fire axe at the spider's head, but the creature quickly whipped its other legs around like spinning swords. One powerful strike sent Jake flying 5 meters across the ground. They had never actually defeated a monster before, only fought long enough to completely escape. But today, we desperately needed that gas. No fuel meant the convoy was totally stranded. Jake bravely forced himself back up and charged right in. With 2 holding it, Victor's heavy pressure finally eased. Then Elena perfectly saw her golden opening. She gracefully leaped into the air, light as a bird, bringing her blade down in an epic cutting arc. She completely severed 2 of the spider's front legs. But the spider was incredibly fast. 2 rear legs instantly shot toward Elena's completely exposed back like flying spears. "Watch out!" Victor screamed, completely pinned down and helpless. Elena felt the rushing wind behind her, knowing she could never dodge. That is exactly when I acted. I covered my left eye and dropped to one knee. Ghost eye illusion. I poured absolutely everything I had into completely freezing that wild spider's mind. It totally worked. The human-faced spider locked up mid-strike. Its legs instantly froze in place, and its compound eyes went completely blank. 3 seconds, maybe even less. Elena did not waste a single heartbeat. Using pure instinct, she drove her blade straight through that spider's skull. The beast went still. You saw that, right? Was that the captain's ability? Let's dive right in. Victor stared at me, absolutely terrified. He realized if I could freeze huge monsters, I could easily lock down a human too. I completely saw that thought cross his mind. I quickly gathered myself, since controlling beasts drains mental energy super fast. Normally, it would not be this rough. But I had been running my ghost eye non-stop for an hour just to navigate the convoy around threats. I was completely drained, making me realize a huge problem. Scanning and driving simultaneously was too much work. I needed a driver. Captain, it this, Jay suddenly shouted. I walked over. Inside the fallen spider were two items. A tiny cloudy crystal, and a 30-centimeter spider leg, still hard as solid steel. I touched the sharp leg, and awesome information flooded my mind. Spirit material for crafting epic weapons. The weird crystal revealed even more. Absorb it to massively strengthen your power sequence. Small chance of upgrading, but high risk of weird corruption. My hand instinctively tightened tightly around the crystal. My shepherd class did not need leveling, but my ghost eye absolutely did. I had zero idea how to upgrade it until now. Watch closely here. The others saw those exact same stats, their eyes full of intense hunger. I took a deep breath. Let us collect supplies first. We will split this when safe. I handed it to Elena. You won. Hold these. She shoved them right back. Captain, I would be gone if you had not frozen that thing. You are the leader. Keep them. Anyone with a problem talks to me. She pulled her blade, glaring at Jake and Victor. Jake threw his hands up. No complaints here. Victor clenched his jaw. He clearly wanted to say something, but wisely held back. Just do not absorb that weird crystal yet. I have something super important to tell everyone later. I pocketed the crystal and strolled back to my truck. With the monster defeated, the ordinary, scared survivors swarmed in. He and his crew of young guys hauled heavy gas cans back and forth. Drenched in sweat, they filled our vehicles. First, my pickup, the Land Rover, and then the SUV. I casually tossed him a cold Coke. From now on, take 10% of what everyone hands over. That is yours. The remaining 20% splits between us. Your personal collections are completely tax-free. Everyone else still pays 30. Steve beamed with joy. Yes, Captain, on it. I refused to let other survivors inside the station until Steve and his team finished the gas and grabbed their first supply picks. He was working for me now. I refused to let lazy freeloaders grab everything while my actual team did the heavy lifting. Nobody dared enter until I gave the word. When I did, they rushed the store like starving wolves. Pure chaos inside, shoving and cursing. Some weaker women were knocked to the floor and left crying. Nobody helped them. In this apocalypse, if you cannot grab your share, that is simply your own problem. The convoy ignored it. The store barely had anything anyway. You and I know splitting 3 days of food among 100 people is pure madness. Not worth fighting over pathetic scraps. My guaranteed share would come through Steve regardless. Jake, Victor, and Elena skipped the messy store too. They patiently sat by their vehicles, waiting for my next order. While everyone was busy, I heard heavy breathing behind me. A thin figure was hauling a dark green gas can toward my truck. 50 pounds of fuel, bending her nearly in half. It was Sarah, the exact woman I had completely ignored earlier. She washed her face, even found lipstick. She set the can down, panting. Captain, I elected this gasoline for you. Want me to load it? She skipped the convenience store instead of fighting over pathetic scraps. She was too small and weak to win. She knew that. So instead, she dragged a 50-pound fuel can across the station, bringing me something literally nobody else thought to offer. Smart woman, you are seriously clever, I calmly replied. First time I actually looked at her. Can you drive? Her eyes lit up. Yes, 3 years experience. I was a tour guide before all this. Mountain roads, off-road, you name it. I know every scenic route in this province. And Captain, I have been watching the landscape as we travel. Lots of places have not changed at all. They are exactly the same as before. That made me stop. You mean, the world did not just expand? She bit her lip. I think familiar spots stayed the same, but strange areas appeared between them. Like something got inserted into the gaps. My mind instantly raced. I was not local, so I never noticed. But what she described was not expansion. It was literally 2 different worlds merging together. Your intel is useful. Grab your daughter and get in my truck. You are my driver now. Before she could even celebrate, I set the terms. I will not go out of my way to protect you or your kid. If you stop being useful, I drop you. Your supplies are fully covered. That is what your value earns you right now. She nodded super fast, eyes wet. Thank you, Captain. Thank you. Her old offer stood. You and I will leave it there today. Stick with me, you and I are diving into this. After gathering our supplies, we all crowded around the spider's loot. A cloudy crystal and one tough steel leg. Victor awkwardly cleared his throat. He had been hiding secrets. Jake totally lost it. Wait, are you serious? A whole week and you said nothing. Marcus arrives and suddenly you spill? It wouldn't have changed things, Victor sighed. Just listen up. Victor used to be a soldier. 1 hour before those monsters hit, his squad got an emergency warning. The government barely knew. James, the seer, sequence 009, was their top operative and the very first awakened. Sadly, his intel was messy. The warning dropped just hours before society totally crashed. Nobody had time to warn the public. Then Victor dropped the epic bombshell. Earth didn't just change. 2 entire realities mashed together. A parallel dimension, absolutely packed with monsters, just fused right into ours. I bit my cigarette so hard it snapped. That perfectly matched what Sarah saw earlier. Our familiar city stayed, but wild, alien landscapes were stitched in between. This wasn't Earth anymore. I also know how sequence levels advance, Victor casually added. Watch closely, this is where it gets super interesting. All 3 of us snapped to attention, completely clueless about advancing. Captain, mental type sequences like yours level up through practice. Just spam your skills and you hit second order. That simple? I asked. My former convoy leader was a second order pathfinder, actually. That is what he told me. However, he teased that reaching third order is a crazy challenge. Jake and Elena stared at him, super hyped. What about combat? Victor shrugged. No clue. I'm still first order. He slowly turned toward the glowing crystal. I've seen these before. You guys need to hear this first. He took a deep breath. Every sequence carries a heavy side effect. You know that, right? We nodded. Awakening brought epic power, but demanded a steep price. High-rank sequences had tiny drawbacks. My Shepherd sequence 007 had 0 negative effects. I figured the entire top 10 worked like that. But my ghost eye was different. It literally cost my left eye. It vanished completely, replaced by a glowing red orb. Unless I actively powered up my ghost eye, I was completely blind on that side. I brushed my hair back to show them. The crimson eye rotated slowly, throwing off this super eerie, faint red glow. Elena stepped up, her cheeks turning bright pink. I lose my sense of direction. Without a guide, I'll walk in circles forever. Jake and Victor tried so hard not to laugh. She glared. Shut it. At least I can brawl. What about you two? Don't say yours is performing badly. Both guys started coughing like crazy to hide their embarrassment. Victor spoke. After battling, my entire body throbs in pain for an hour. That's why Jake drives. Jake just shrugged. I know what you are thinking. 10 blind seconds? Jake admitted. After Sensei lose all senses for 10 seconds. An attack means game over. We sat completely silent. My blind eye was the easiest price. Victor literally lived in pure agony after every single fight. Elena couldn't find her way out of a paper bag, and Jake became totally helpless for 10 seconds while scouting. A brutal game, over if his timing was bad. So, what happens when somebody absorbs a crystal? I asked. Victor's expression darkened instantly. My last convoy leader traveled with 3 awakened. One top 300 sequence holder absorbed a crystal and completely failed. His sequence's nasty side effect instantly doubled. His left leg was already paralyzed from awakening. After that failure, his right leg gave out too. We all froze. That was terrifying. Failing meant my right eye would vanish next. I would be totally sightless, even with my ghost eye offering a god's view. Keeping it active every single waking second was literally impossible. I placed the crystal on my open palm. Who wants this? Fair warning. Whoever claims it sits out the next 2 sweet material drops. We rotate loot. Solo kills are yours to keep. I'll do it. Victor answered instantly. Are you sure? Fail, and the price doubles. It is just more pain. I am used to it. He grabbed the crystal. No other way to advance. I cannot stay stuck at first order forever. Jake and Elena passed. Their side effects were way too risky to gamble on doubling. Nobody claimed the tough spider leg either. Elena already rocked a spirit weapon, and Jake knew a forge master could craft something amazing later on, so I just kept it safe. Victor quickly swallowed the crystal. Dark fog swallowed him whole. His heartbeat thumped like an epic war drum. Faster, louder. Elena grabbed her blade while we anxiously stepped back. The fog vanished. Victor stood, massively transformed and taller. His muscles looked literally cast from solid iron, skin as incredibly thick as leather. It actually worked. Jake yelled, practically jumping for joy. Victor squeezed his massive fist, making the air crackle. My base strength is several times higher now, even without skills. My raw stats match my old max power. He grinned widely. Sequence 2, 7, 8. Formerly Constable, now I am the Savage Marshal. So what do you and I take from this? Upgrades mean survival. 2 new skills, Fury Burst and Iron Hide. He is a massive second order tank now. Let's dive in. I quietly checked my Shepherd ability. Even at second order, Victor stayed totally within my plunder and borrow range. Nice. Another epic card to play. With my Shepherd's sight, everyone's hidden talents were visible. Victor's talent? A blazing crimson orb right above him. Jake had this dimmer ruby glow. Elena's shimmered silver and white, looking incredibly sharp. The regular survivors? Just tiny sparks, basically like matches sitting right next to a massive bonfire. I checked my Shepherd countdown. 165 hours, 23 minutes. Members? 173 out of 100. The timer completely jumped from 1 day to 1 week. The required number stayed identical. I just knew when that clock hit 0, the Shepherd system would hand over something huge. That is exactly why 17 people leaving didn't bother me at all. I had plenty. Honestly, I would much rather drop the unstable ones than keep heavy baggage. This time, I wanted to stand strong. No more running away. No more escaping. I had done that way too much this past month. Suddenly, engines roared far away. Steve came sprinting right over. Captain, a convoy is approaching fast behind us. I triggered my ghost eye, seeing everything within 3 kilometers. Everyone into your vehicles. Move out. Now pay attention. Behind that convoy, 2 kilometers out, a massive beast was chasing them straight toward us. Picture a massive dog-shaped creature, tiger-sized, rocking 2 heads and 4 glowing crimson eyes, full of fierce rage. A second-order weird twin-headed hound. Jake reacted instantly, grabbing a megaphone to rally the crew. He jumped into his Land Rover and completely floored it behind my truck. He knew if I looked panicked, this was at least second order, and second order meant total game over. Even with Victor's awesome upgrade, we absolutely needed another second order fighter to survive. Hundreds of meters behind us, the wolf convoy was led by a guy named Derek. He originally started with over 300 people and 4 awakened. That twin-headed hound completely broke them in half an hour. They gave up 1 awakened just to buy enough time to escape. Now, they were down to 50 people and a dozen vehicles. Derek spotted our convoy right ahead, and his eyes practically lit up. Pass them. Let them play rearguard. He had absolutely zero intention of fighting together. His own convoy had 4 awakened. He was second order himself, and they still got totally crushed. His only thought was using us as bait. They ignored the side road completely. They locked onto our tail, forcing the beast toward us. Those jerks are leading it right to us. I cursed out loud. Sarah was driving, jaw totally clenched, eyes locked on the mirror. The wolves gained fast, flying past our people on foot and regular bikes. We kept our vehicles totally floored, staying 100 meters ahead. But this could not last. You and I both know this isn't working, I said. Watching my Shepherd countdown, the numbers dropped insanely fast. 173, then 145 in seconds. 20 people gone, taken out by that hound. And those 20 people only bought us roughly 1 minute. That hound was still 2,000 meters behind us. I had to act fast. I triggered Ghost Eye's second ability, Remote Hypnosis. I didn't even need line of sight. As long as my Ghost Eye saw them, I could totally reach out within 500 meters. I picked a driver right in the middle of that wolf convoy. His eyes glazed over for just 1 second, but that was long enough for his foot to slam the brake at maximum speed. His vehicle swerved totally out of control. Then I hit the driver behind him. That guy grabbed his steering wheel with a crazy grin and rammed straight into the first car. 2 vehicles instantly piled up, blocking 6 or 7 more cars behind them. Derek, the wolf convoy leader, cursed from his lead vehicle. Are they total idiots? Crashing on a flat road? He didn't slow down, just abandoned his people and kept running. But that massive pileup definitely bought us crucial distance. Captain, there's a village straight ahead. Sarah yelled from the driver's seat. A tourist village? I used to bring tour groups here. It's in this direction. I scanned with my ghost eye. Nothing within 3 kilometers, but my visual range definitely had its limits. Drive right toward it. I'll warn you if anything gets in the way. It should have taken 10 minutes, but it took an hour. The whole landscape was totally rearranged. Unfamiliar terrain stitched between familiar landmarks, just like Sarah described. Without my ghost eye calling out monsters along the way, she'd have driven straight into one. Then, a sign suddenly appeared. Welcome to Peach Blossom Village. It was a pretty place. Traditional buildings, painted murals on the outer walls, and a striking cat portrait with enormous, lifelike eyes. This tourist destination was now eerily quiet. Too quiet. No signs of a struggle. No awful smells. Absolutely nothing. Jake's voice suddenly crackled over the radio. Captain, not sensing any danger. That's exactly what worried me. If there was a monster, I feel better. This was something else. My ghost eye. I covered nearly the entire village and found absolutely nothing. No creatures, no people, no animals. Every living thing was completely erased. Then, as I approached the village boundary, information just flooded my mind. Spirit Object 009. Psychic Totem Fragment. Countdown. 23 hours, 55 minutes. My grip tightened on the machete. What happens next? Spirit Object 009. A top 10 artifact. Elena's precious blade was ranked way past 900. Stick with me here to see this mystery unfold. A rank 9 object is insanely powerful, though this was just a fragment. Getting closer, I finally understood its secret. The psychic totem built a safe zone through a heavy cost. Anyone entering had to pay up, and the fee grew the longer you stayed. This was no kind protector. It acted exactly like a greedy merchant demanding an equal exchange. But in this chaotic world, even a greedy merchant's shelter was our only true harbor. Inside the barrier, monsters vanished. People could finally rest. Equal exchange. Zero exceptions. Stopped the car. Sarah slammed the brakes hard. She looked at me, totally confused, but listening perfectly. Captain, are we not going in? Victor asked through the radio. I turned straight to Sarah. Did you hear a mysterious voice in your head just now? What voice? She looked super bewildered, then a bit scared. Is something weird happening with the village? I hopped out without answering. The second I stopped, the entire convoy halted too. That was the solid authority I had built. Nobody moved until I gave the word. Jake, Victor, and Elena jogged right over. I explained it all. The strange totem, the steep price, the safe zone. Their faces paled. A heavy toll for safety. Victor swallowed hard. What kind of price? A leg, an eye. We sent someone else first, Jake said through clenched teeth. We cannot risk ourselves just yet. It sounded harsh, and nobody pretended otherwise. Surprisingly, Elena and Victor stayed quiet. Testing the mystery toll on regular survivors helped our team, because absolutely none of us wanted to be the first test subject. Before we could even decide, Steve rushed up. Captain, people from that other convoy are approaching. Now, pay close attention here. The rivals caught up. 4 figures walked toward us. 3 guys, 1 girl. The leader was Derek, rocking casual clothes with a very flashy, energetic girl draped on his arm. She wore heavy makeup and super bold outfits. In this wild era, you easily judged someone's strength by their appearance. Anyone keeping a companion looking that glamorous definitely had zero shortage of food or sheer power. Derek looked us over with a super casual smirk. Hey, friends, how about a little chat? He studied us with a totally practiced eye. I could tell he was sizing up our crew. Victor's massive frame, Elena's awesome spirit blade, and me leading the pack. He calculated if he could actually beat us. He smartly decided against trying, but I clearly noticed his hand never once left his deep pocket. He definitely hid something there. A spirit object, his ultimate trump card. He offered us some compensation for leading danger right to our path. 1 case of noodles and a case of water. 20 people. That was exactly what he thought they were worth. I stayed completely silent. He quickly sweetened the deal. More noodles, extra water. Then he suddenly pushed the glamorous girl forward. A former live streamer, he announced, offering her up like a shiny piece of furniture. She stumbled, looking back at him for support, but got absolutely nothing. Her bright eyes went completely dull. She adjusted her collar lower and started pitching herself to our group. Elena scoffed super quietly, but kept her thoughts to herself. Even she understood the harsh truth. Sometimes, charm was the only currency regular people had left. I ignored the girl entirely and just stared at Derek. His confident smile got super tight. "Deal," I suddenly declared, breaking into a cheerful grin. The heavy tension finally cracked. Derek relaxed, though his hand stayed hidden. He glanced right over at Peach Blossom Village. "You and I see his game. Why aren't you going in? Waiting for you." He flinched. "No thanks, after you." I actually needed his team. My member count dropped to 140 during the wild chase. Falling below 100 meant my shepherd countdown would reset, wasting all that precious time. Plus, I definitely wasn't about to let this sneaky guy walk away freely. "Your convoy is looking pretty thin now," mentioned super casually. "Why don't we just merge? You awakened. Join us. 0 tribute required, and we share supplies equally. I am sequence 91, Ghost Eye, 3-kilometer detection range, just like a Pathfinder. We would all survive way longer together." Derek narrowed his eyes in suspicion. He looked at his 2 awakened fighters and clearly saw genuine interest. That is when a totally fierce glare flashed behind his fake smile. I wasn't just asking for simple supplies. I was smoothly pulling his own people away. Inside his convoy, he acted like a king. First pick of everything. Under my lead, he would instantly lose all that power, and he totally knew I would eventually dig out every single secret he hid. I pushed him exactly where I wanted him. He immediately started to decline. I mentally activated the shepherd system. Borrowing sequence 175. Wandering Swordsman class. Duration, 59 minutes and 59 seconds. Epic warmth flooded my body. My machete became a perfect extension of my arm. Cut, thrust, parry, and deflect. Every awesome blade technique Elena knew was suddenly mine. My speed absolutely surged. Simultaneously, blasted Derek with Ghost Eye hypnosis. Even as a second order awakened, he completely froze for several crucial seconds. I lunged forward, but totally wiped out. My left leg tried moving, but my right hand jerked instead. My right foot wildly kicked when I wanted my left arm. My limbs were totally scrambled and completely reversed, exactly like a puppet with tangled strings. Derek's hidden spirit object. He triggered at the exact same instant I used hypnosis. His weapon swapped my controls. "Trust me, we just hit each other simultaneously. Let's dive right in." He stood frozen under my hypnosis. Meanwhile, I lay helpless, limbs thrashing wildly, body totally scrambled. For one wild second, both sides just stared in shock. Victor broke the silence. "Move. Protect Marcus." Elena was already a blur. She reached Derek before anyone could even blink, her blade singing right through the air. "Keep him breathing," I shouted from the ground. She ignored me. Steel flashed fast. Crimson sprayed from all of Derek's limbs. Victor activated Crimson Burst and Iron Hide. He planted himself like an absolute wall against Derek's 2 awakened fighters. Jake stood right over me, gripping his raised fire axe. Even Steve rushed in with four guys, forming a protective ring. Derek's team screamed, "What are you doing?" They tried saving their leader, but Victor's raw, heavy pressure instantly pushed them back. 1 second of silence, then Derek's hypnosis shattered, broken by the pure agony. He howled, eyes bulging, veins popping wildly across his forehead. He tried moving, but just couldn't. Elena had sliced all 4 joints. He writhed on the floor like a worm, howling loudly, his fake smile still half frozen on his face. Elena stood over Derek, holding his spirit object. It was a metal cube, shaped like a puzzle box with 4 faces pointing toward for compass. Directions. A glowing red eyeball was embedded inside each face, still rolling and twitching. Spirit object 303. Direction cube. It marks targets within 50 meters, totally scrambling their sense of direction for 1 minute. Watch closely now. That exact cube dropped me. I tried moving my leg, but my right hand jerked instead. I saw Elena staring at it. Pure greed flickered in her eyes. I didn't blame her. In this chaos, nobody acts selfless. A defensive artifact like that could easily save your life a dozen times over. But through an earpiece hidden under her hair, a calm woman's voice spoke. I couldn't hear the words, but they totally snapped Elena right out of it. She brought the cube straight over, placing it near my hand. Here, Captain. This is what he used against you. The effect only lasts a minute. Smart girl. That voice in her earpiece belonged to someone. A woman named Vivian riding inside Elena's SUV. I'd been totally aware of her, but hadn't pushed it yet. Now, I filed it away. She wasn't awakened, but sharp enough to keep Elena alive and thinking clearly. The minute ended. I stood up, grabbed my machete, and walked straight over to Derek. He was a mess. Elena had severed all 4 limbs. He lay on the ground, writhing around, barely conscious. I pressed the blade tip against his stomach, just enough to draw red. His eyes snapped wide open. Captain, please spare me. He screamed loudly. I'm second order. Sequence 112, Magician. I'll be your loyal dog. I'll do anything. Just don't finish me. That was the highest ranked combat sequence I'd found besides mine. Higher than Elena's 175. My interest sharpened. I saw information floating right above his head using my shepherd sight. Sequence 112. Magician. Second order skills. Dove control. Hat trick. Grand illusion. Sleight of hand. Dove control let him command 3 birds, entirely sharing their vision. That's how he navigated his entire convoy around monsters without a pathfinder. Hat trick created cool little pocket spaces, each holding 3 items. Sleight of hand built minor illusions that could briefly trick monsters, plus grand illusion. You and I both know this is huge. A 30-meter instant teleport. A true life-saving ability, even with a long cooldown. This was just too good to pass up. My shepherd could only permanently steal 1 sequence at a time. I'd been saving that slot, but Derek was going to fall regardless. I couldn't let a man this incredibly dangerous live. If I didn't take his power now, I might never find another magician. I hesitated for exactly 1 second. Plunder. An invisible ring of bright light pulsed outward. Derek's eyes went wide. Something was forcefully ripped from his very core. I could see absolute horror on his face, realizing his precious power was gone, completely stripped away from him. How? That's completely impossible. I drove my blade through his throat. He stared at me, mouth working, but only red foam bubbled out. The strike completely severed his vocal cords. Warmth flooded through me. Brand new memories, new instincts. The magician's 4 distinct skills settled into my mind like they'd always been there. I discovered something wonderful. Stealing a sequence also stripped away all side effects. Derek's magician abilities came to me totally clean. I stood over his fallen body, unable to stop smiling. Everyone watching from both convoys saw me finish a man, and totally grin about it. They shrank back, necks pulling into shoulders, real fear deepening in their eyes. Derek's 2 awakened, stood completely frozen, drenched in cold sweat. They looked at their leader's fallen body, then at Victor looming right behind me. Then at Elena's dripping red blade. They lowered their heads and said nothing. Good. Silence. Total silence. Everyone just stared at Derek's limbless body. So what do you and I make of this? I wiped my blade, stood up, and smiled. He attacked unprovoked, nearly ruining the friendship between our convoys. I tilted my head, right? I wasn't some mindless monster. Let's dive right in. These people were useful, so 1 simple sentence gave them an exit. The older awakened fighter nodded so frantically his head nearly flew off. You are completely right, Captain. Derek totally deserved his fate. 0 shame, and absolutely 0 guilt. Derek selfishly hoarded the best food and companions. Leaving these 2 with mere scraps meant their loyalty was practically non-existent. Names? I asked. Frank, sir, sequence for 21 Iron Arm. And Ray, sequence 392, Strider. Both are combat types. Yes, Captain, you heard the rules. Stay or leave, your choice. We are happily joining Dawn Convoy, they chanted together. I sent Victor to recruit the remaining convoy members. Same deal, 30% tribute and follow orders. Then I confidently walked toward Derek's motorhome. A terrified woman sat nearby, the exact same one he had pushed earlier. She looked completely terrified. Were you his partner? No, I was forced. Please do not hurt me. She scrambled toward my feet, clutching my leg like a lonely stray cat looking for hope. Her name was Ruby. I gently told her to follow me inside the vehicle. His ride was a massively modified motorhome, totally spacious, featuring a small bedroom, and overflowing with awesome survival supplies. When Derek fell, his hat trick ability instantly collapsed, wildly dumping all his hidden pocket treasures back into physical reality. The vehicle was absolutely stuffed. Ruby immediately dropped to her knees the second we entered, emotionally offering her complete loyalty. I politely ignored that and began searching the vehicle. "Master, I know one of his biggest secrets," she blurted out mysteriously. That definitely got my attention. He kept a hidden toolbox. I only discovered it because he slipped up once. Then he threatened to eliminate me if I ever mentioned it. She bravely led me into the bedroom and excitedly started digging right under the bed. I calmly closed my eyes, activated my ghost vision, and easily found it in seconds. A white toolbox wedged tightly in a corner. The moment I touched it, epic information flooded my mind. Spirit Object 99. Universal Toolbox Ability. It directly crafts spirit objects from monster materials. The vital energy cost entirely depends on the rank of the newly crafted object. Top 100. I never heard of an artifact ranked this high. I glanced out at Derek's defeated form. How did he get so lucky? A second order awakened with 2 powerful spirit objects and a massive convoy. If I hadn't stopped him, he'd become a major power someday. Meanwhile, I spent a month just scraping by without a single spirit object. Elena cheerfully mentioned finding her blade by accident, just magically stumbled across it. When she told me that, I honestly had nothing to say. But first, I really needed to verify Ruby's dramatic claim. I used my ghost eye hypnosis. Does anyone else know about this toolbox? Her eyes went blank. No one, only Derek and me. Good enough. I calmly released her. I also examined the direction cube, Spirit Object 303, which was currently on a 24-hour cooldown from when he targeted me. Now watch closely. From one wild ambush, I gained his magician sequence with for skills, a top 100 crafting item, and a rank 303 defender, a large motorhome packed with supplies, 2 new awakened fighters, and dozens of cheerful convoy members. I mysteriously held the toolbox in my hands. I still had that spider leg, purely raw monster material. Time to see what this magical thing could actually create. Inside the motorhome, I excitedly grasped the universal toolbox. It was sleek metal, not particularly large, but when I opened it, the inside was impossibly bigger than it logically should have been. Folded space, exactly like something out of a sci-fi movie. Rows of tools set neatly inside. Hammers, pliers, carving knives, and measuring tools, all mysteriously glowing with a dark metallic sheen. I dramatically took out the earlier spider leg, 30 centimeters of steel hard chitin, and placed it inside alongside a regular knife I carried. The toolbox brilliantly lit up. The magical tools came alive. The hammer swung down on the leg, ringing like an anvil, while carving knives beautifully danced in rapid blurs. You and I know crafting is usually delicate, but this? Pure chaos, like smashing metal together with a giant sledgehammer. I excitedly watched with my mouth wide open, wondering if whatever popped out would even be usable. 1 minute later, complete silence. A strange, pitch-black dagger lay inside, 30 centimeters long with a rough grip. The magical blade was incredibly thin. 2 slabs of dark metal perfectly sandwiching something impossibly thin. It looked bizarre at first, but the longer I stared, the more natural it felt. Object 96669. Spider Shadow Dagger Ability. Extremely sharp, carrying a mysterious mild toxin that paralyzes any target for 3 full seconds. Cost? The user's arm goes totally numb for 10 minutes after each use. As it perfectly formed, I felt intense vitality drain from my body, like a massive energy donation. That was the toolbox's price. For a low-ranked weapon like this, it was easily manageable. 1 good night of sleep, and I would fully recover. I swung the new dagger. Silent, razor sharp. Not spectacular, but perfectly solid. A fantastic backup weapon for ambushes. People would fight endlessly over an epic treasure like this. That's where we leave it. Ruby just witnessed pure magic. And trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. Stick with me, we are diving in. She wasn't happy, just terrified. Smart enough to know seeing too much meant instant game over. You caught that? I asked, keeping it totally breezy. Oh, absolutely, boss. I'll take the potion. Let yourself guide my actions. I'll swear any oath, anything. Please just trust me. I simply shook my head. Silenced folks can still write. She burst into dramatic tears. Please, I don't want to vanish. I let her sit in that pure panic for 2 seconds. Then get dressed. You're totally unhelpful like this. Prove you have real value, or you lose your spot. And if I ever catch you gossiping, you know exactly what comes next. She nodded frantically, weeping while scrambling into her gear. Actually, Aoi had just become way more useful than she even realized. The toolbox needed life force to craft. It didn't care whose energy. She already knew the secret. She'd be the one paying the energy toll from now on, not me. I definitely wasn't hiding this awesome toolbox from Jake, Victor, and Elena. They were my founding crew. With this, I could craft epic spirit weapons for all three. Massive upgrades to our ultimate fighting strength. After Ruby left the RV, I excitedly tested out that incredible magician's hat trick ability. I found a neat ring and opened a secret pocket space inside. Not massive, just right for tiny items. The dagger vanished into it. Absolutely, perfectly. The direction cube fit flawlessly too. The toolbox was way too huge for the ring, but incredibly, it fit right inside my cool wristwatch. A larger item created a much bigger pocket space. The toolbox claimed every single inch, leaving absolutely zero room for anything else. Watch closely, this is huge. This amazing treasure stayed on me permanently. I confidently stepped out of the gorgeous RV. Ruby nervously pressed close to my side immediately. I allowed it. Steve jogged over with his notebook. Captain, 39 Wolf Convoy members cheerfully joined us. Their grand tribute is collected right over here. I checked the awesome pile, then pointed at the RV. Clear out absolutely everything inside. And take her along. She'll help manage inventory. Steve glanced at Ruby, who stood quietly with her head bowed, anxiously twisting the edge of her shirt. Yes, Captain. Over by my rugged pickup, Sarah watched from the window. Her eyes flashed dramatically for a second. Another rival competing for my attention. She quickly turned to her sweet daughter Lily in the back seat. Stay inside, sweetie. Mommy has important work to do. Then she practically sprinted over to help Steve neatly sort the supplies. Ruby did the exact same, completely exhausted, but not daring to pause for even a second. While Steve's crew counted up, I cheerfully called the Awaken. Since you've officially joined the family, old Frank and Ray are lax. We are happily splitting supplies. Their eyes instantly lit up. Worries magically faded when delicious food was involved. Steve proudly brought the list. Derek's epic stash was super impressive, neatly stacked nearby. Sarah and Ruby worked side by side, beautifully, sorting everything. Every guy in the convoy kept their gaze respectfully away from both girls. Everyone knew. They arrived in my truck. Steve, grab 10% first. He tried to humbly refuse. I quickly cut him off. Take it. I promised I'd look after you. During the crazy ambush, Steve and his guys bravely formed a protective ring around me completely, unprompted. That absolute true loyalty gets heavily rewarded. He chose carefully. Crackers, water, bread, and energy bars. Super practical stuff. Nothing flashy. He knew the Awakened wouldn't mind. Brilliant. I playfully nudged a box of instant noodles and canned goodies toward him. Take these too. You have a kid to feed. Steve got totally emotional. You feel that too, right? His struggling wife was barely recognizable. He nodded passionately and happily carried everything away, chest puffed out with pride, letting those envious stares from other survivors wash over him like warm sunlight. Then, just us Awakened remain. 10 shares. Jake, Victor, Elena, 2 each. Frank and Ray, 1 each as rookies. You'll definitely get equal shares moving forward. Ray looked absolutely stunned. We get a share too? You're Dawn Convoy now. Follow our rules, and we never abandon friends. They cheerfully thanked me endlessly, especially when they noticed Jake, Victor, and Elena didn't even cast a single glance at those supplies. Absolute, total trust. They knew they had finally landed in the perfect place. Frank smartly pulled Ray away once they grabbed their generous portions. He realized the real magical business was about to begin. Inside the RV with just the original trio, I dramatically laid everything out. The awesome direction cube, the shadowy spider dagger, 3 epic beast materials from Derek's stash, and the universal toolbox. Their jaws totally dropped reading the toolbox's incredible description. The magic direction cube and the dagger are mine. I declared the toolbox stays with me, but anyone here can use it anytime, totally free. Just bring your own rare materials, that's all. We're a team. Your strength ensures my safety. Nobody argued. They totally understood the flawless logic. The cube could be used against me, so it safely stayed in my hands. The toolbox was too ridiculously valuable, but I wasn't selfishly hoarding power. I was genuinely investing in my friends. Keep the toolbox a secret between us four. Frank and Ray don't need to know yet. Understood? They replied immediately. Those 3 epic beast materials are yours. Split them however you guys want. I'm happily sitting this out. Jake eagerly rubbed his hands and grabbed a strange ancient parchment. Just one of the 3 mysterious materials pulled from Derek's fantastic collection. So what do we make of this? The other 2 were a pale skeletal relic and a weird glowing core. Stick with me here. You and I are about to see some wild logic. The extra item totally decides its final shape. I tossed in a knife, got a dagger. While they happily debated and experimented, I sat right back, closing my eyes to test my cool new dove control magic. Through overhead ghost eyes, I scanned 3 whole kilometers, finding 0 monsters. Then I searched for birds. Since the apocalypse started, most animals had faded away, especially nearby. Only in the quiet wilderness could you find some. Surviving creatures mutated to become way larger and tougher. I spotted 2 sparrows 2 kilometers out, snacking on a giant, oversized worm. The sparrows themselves had grown incredibly huge. Their beaks literally looked like iron. Activating dove control. Both birds suddenly froze mid-meal, then launched straight upward. 2 totally new viewpoints popped into my mind. Their eyes became mine. Those mutated sparrows were incredibly fast. Within just a minute, they flew way beyond my 3-kilometer range. But that awesome shared vision kept streaming. Second-order dove control easily reached 20 kilometers. 3 birds flying in 3 directions vastly extended my awesome scouting range beyond what? Ghost eyes covered. It was less detailed than ghost eyes, but the distance was absolutely enormous. I sent 1 sparrow toward Peach Village. Now watch closely, because this place was completely lifeless and silent. Just eerie stillness stretching beyond those winding mountain peaks. Faint, mysterious roaring echoed from somewhere up there. The poor sparrow's flight stuttered. I felt its terror right through our link. Then, a massive shadow streaked across the sky, and 1 viewpoint went entirely dark. The bird vanished. My little sparrow was gone. Whatever took it was so crazy fast, I barely saw a blur. Then my screen just went black. Shifting focus quickly to the second sparrow, I sent it elsewhere. 2 kilometers out, it discovered a mysterious ruined town. Empty streets, red stains everywhere, fallen remnants completely picked clean. Right in the center, coiled around a tall building, was a massive 100-meter snake. Its dark metal scales gleamed brightly, while hundreds of creepy human arms sprouted right from its belly. Its giant eyes literally had a human face stamped inside them, and that creepy face featured its own hollow eyes. Third-order weird, 1,000-leg serpent. The snake slowly lifted its head, hissing completely silently. My sparrow burst into red mist. In that final instant, before the view totally faded, those hollow eyes on the snake face snapped open, staring right at me. I snapped awake, completely drenched in sweat. We are absolutely avoiding that town. Total detour, without question. Jake noticed my panic. Captain, you okay? Fine. I took a deep breath. I know what you're thinking. Crafting time. Did you finish? They held up new weapons. Jake merged strange leather with his axe. Now, it glowed bright crimson, and was wrapped in something that disturbingly looked like pulsing leather. Object 1086 leather axe. Charge. Strike takes heavy energy, forcefully peeling the leather back and hurting you. Victor brilliantly combined a mysterious bone with his steel rebar. It became a pure white bone club shaped like a dragon's spine. Such a solid upgrade. Elena got the luckiest, using that mysterious core to craft a crimson pouch. Object 9, 7, 8, 3. Dimensional stomach holds 3 cubic meters. The catch? You must feed it snacks regularly, or it totally digests whatever items you store inside. Ridiculous luck. I told her, and she beamed. Borrow it anytime, Captain. Just pay me in snacks. 3 cubic meters of storage was insanely valuable. I was already considering having her help with my next crafting session. Maybe her awesome luck could rub off. Let's go, we still have business. As I stepped outside, Steve came sprinting. Captain, 5 people snuck into the village. My ghost already totally knew that. I spotted them first. 5 sneaky men from the wolf convoy creeping toward Peach Village. I let them pass completely on purpose. Someone had to test the safe zone toll, and these volunteers saved me trouble. Strolling right to the village entrance, I grabbed Jake's megaphone and shouted into the empty streets. There is exactly one exit. You get 1 minute to return here. Otherwise, I'll stand right at this gate and smash everyone walking out. Deep inside, Kyle, the sneaky ringleader, angrily cursed under his breath. He and his 4 guys committed awful deeds under Derek's protection. One of them severely hurt a young girl. That sweet girl's mother was still safe inside our convoy. If anyone talked, Elena would crush them alone without my permission. Kyle totally knew they would be used as trap bait if returning. Forget the exit, guys. We'll find another way out. Grab everything you possibly can and run deeper inside. But one scrawny guy they all called Monkey had already quietly slipped away. He definitely hadn't been involved in their very worst trouble. He came happily sprinting toward the village gate, panting heavily, with hands on knees. "Captain, I was just out scouting." Before I asked, he spilled it. "Trust me, you'll love this twist. A spirit object made this safe zone. The toll equals 1 person's energy per 100 people. Awakened heroes cost more depending on their strength levels. Stick with me here. If nobody is sacrificed within 30 minutes, the totem automatically drains everybody until the massive debt is fully covered." Monkey's intel confirmed my guess. 1 sacrifice per 100 normal people, plus extra for awakened ones. Bought 24 safe hours. After that, the zone vanishes. No volunteers in 30 minutes? The totem forcefully takes its payment from everyone, pulling from each person until the debt is fully cleared. "Stay," I told Monkey. "You stepped up, so you get a chance." He almost collapsed from pure relief. "Thanks, Captain. You're like a father to me." Quiet. 3% tribute. Follow orders. That's the deal. I faced the others. Jake frowned hard. 1 day for human sacrifices. Super steep. Victor nodded. 2 sacrifices minimum for the regular guys. Not counting our awakened crew. Elena stayed totally quiet. She knew she was totally safe, knowing exactly who I'd pick to sacrifice. Kyle and his 3 men should definitely be enough. "Ray, Frank, go grab them." Ray was lightning fast, blurring into the village like an absolute ghost. Under 10 minutes later, the radio suddenly crackled. "Captain, we caught them." I smirked. "Everyone, get into the village." 3 minutes. I wanted the entire convoy inside before that 30-minute deadline hit. Anyone entering later would cost extra sacrifices. And I definitely wasn't wasting Kyle's pathetic group. The exact second people entered Peach Blossom Village, they all saw the totem's floating message. Here's where it gets wild. Panic hit the crowd. Everyone stared right at me, absolutely terrified of being picked. "Do it," I told the radio. Kyle's voice screamed over the radio. "Captain, please. I have supplies. I have women. Take absolutely everything." Another guy panicked. "It wasn't me. Kyle forced us. We never wanted to enter the village." Ray's icy voice cut right through. "Captain says sacrifice. Marcus, I'll see you in the afterlife." A loud shriek, then 3 heavy thuds echoed out. 3 long seconds of pure static. A clear panel appeared. Spirit Object 009. Psychic Totem. Sacrifice completely finished. Remaining time 23 hours, 30 minutes, 47 seconds. Frank walked back, totally pale. "Captain, 3 guys wasn't enough?" I nodded. Awakened members cost extra, which meant we absolutely needed a 4th person. Kyle's crew only had 4. 1 covered the base sacrifice, plus extras for our awakened premium. So, using safe zones means we absolutely must sacrifice more people for it every single time. Victor muttered quietly. The group went totally silent. This time we had Kyle's criminals to use. "I know what you're thinking. Next time luck might vanish." "Stop overthinking," I said. "Tonight we take our first real rest in a month. We will search the village for supplies, then eat a big dinner together." Jake rolled his shoulders, finally grinning after weeks. "A whole month running." Finally, Victor agreed. "We haven't fully slept since this nightmare started." Elena was already looking around with super bright eyes. A whole month without bathing, surviving purely on little wet wipes. She was clearly desperate to get clean. The convoy settled in. 180 people, over 20 vehicles, spreading out comfortably across the extremely quiet streets. I quickly put Steve in charge of supply collection. Everything found enters a central pool, then redistributes at 30%. Anyone hiding supplies? Steve glared. I will absolutely chop their hands off, Captain. I tossed him a massive blade taken straight from Derek's stash. Good. Join our dinner tonight. Steve moved extremely fast. First, he grabbed every single car key. No hiding supplies inside trunks. Then, he organized scavenging teams. These survivors looked totally exhausted, but their eyes shined brighter than ever. Zero monsters here. No fading away in your sleep tonight. A rich village packed with supplies, and they only gave up 30%. Nobody complained or caused trouble. My terrifying reputation completely handled that. Jake, Victor, and Elena quietly saved Derek's massive RV for me. Ellen even joked about wanting to sleep inside it sometime. I didn't refuse. Sarah studied the RV controls. It was an imported 11-meter beast, 3 meters wide, 4 meters tall, packing a reinforced front bumper shaped like a battering ram. Top speed hits 75 miles per hour. Not sports car fast, but perfect. Inside, a bedroom, tiny kitchen, a half-full gas tank for the stove, plus a nice living area boasting 2 single beds. Derek actually kept up to 5 girls in here at once. Sarah mastered the driving within minutes, having already quizzed Derek's previous old driver. She and Ruby started moving my supplies from the pickup into the RV, working perfectly side by side. I'm Ruby. What's your name, sister? Sarah looked at Ruby's pretty face, instantly feeling a strange twinge of something. Sarah, can I call you Sister Sarah? She nodded. She saw it. Ruby was walking on eggshells, speaking carefully, absolutely terrified of making a bad mistake. Just another girl desperately trying to survive. They carried the heavy rice bags together. I watched briefly, then immediately looked away. To me, they were just tools. One drove, one fueled up the toolbox. I didn't need to invest any emotions. Then Steve ran back, grinning. Captain, we found a small swimming pool at one of the guest houses. It is fed by a stream. The water is super clean. Guys already filled it up. A pool? I raised an eyebrow. Steve nodded eagerly. He found a house with massive indoor and outdoor heated pools. Trust me, you're gonna want more. Let's dive into this wild story. The heating was broken, but he already had people hauling water from a nearby stream, boiling it in huge iron pots taken from village homes. He refused to let absolutely anyone near the indoor pool. That spot was mine first. The outdoor pool was strictly for the other awakened fighters. Everyone else could take their turn later. Steve understood the hierarchy perfectly. I looked down at myself. A whole month without bathing. My clothes were completely stiff from dried sweat and old battles. The smell stopped bothering me weeks ago, which was honestly a terrible sign. The guest house was a nice 3-story building right near the village center, clearly decorated just for passing tourists. The courtyard buzzed with constant activity. 12 survivors fed wood into fires under massive pots of boiling water. Meanwhile, Jake and his guys were by the stream, trying to figure out how to catch some fish for soup. I walked through a dusty lounge to the indoor pool, 20 square meters, about 5 feet deep. The clear water was gently steaming. Before stepping in, I activated my ghost eye for a really quick sweep. In the outdoor pool area, I caught a quick glimpse of 2 figures. Elena and another woman were already bathing. One was tall, instantly catching my attention for just a second longer than necessary. That was Elena's advisor, basically Vivian, the mysterious woman constantly whispering into Elena's earpiece. She had been hiding inside Elena's SUV this whole time, only stepping out occasionally to toss the trash. Now watch closely. With my ghost eye, this convoy could hide absolutely nothing from me. But since she avoided trouble and Elena kept her contained, I never bothered exposing her secret. I just shut off the ghost eye and stepped right into the warm water. A full month had passed since I touched clean water like this. The warmth wrapped around me, and I finally exhaled deeply. Every single knot in my muscles slowly unwound. I leaned against the pool edge and happily closed my eyes. Then I snapped the ghost eye open again. Pure habit and training. The more I used it, the faster it would level up. Since unlocking the magician sequence, my mental stamina had visibly increased. The heavy exhaustion from constantly running my ghost eye had faded away. I comfortably draped a white towel right over my face, silently watching the entire village through my overhead view. Crucial supplies were being gathered and piled high in the central square. Steve stood there holding his notebook, perfectly directing everything. Then, a sudden commotion. An old woman was clutching a small bag of rice and flour, arguing loudly. She aggressively claimed it was her personal supply brought from her car, not village loot. I just watched from the pool without touching my radio. I know what you are thinking. Would Steve fold? No. He handled it perfectly and called her out. Everyone was strictly told to leave personal supplies behind before scavenging. She tried sneaking village loot past him, completely disguised as her own stuff. His expression instantly went dark. He ordered his men to pin her down. First offense for hiding supplies? You lose a hand. Next time, it is game over. The watermelon knife came down. A brutal strike landed. The old woman shrieked. Her grandson, who had just been cursing at Steve with an incredibly filthy mouth, suddenly went silent from pure shock. Then Steve's 12-year-old son, Danny, burst from the crowd and smashed a heavy rock into the cursing kid's head. Do not ever talk about my mom like that. Steve's wife, Rose, went totally pale and yanked Danny back. Steve gave her a reassuring look, then turned to the crowd, his blade still dripping. Let this be a serious lesson. The convoy gives you a fair share. Take what is not yours, and you deal directly with me. I smiled faintly and deactivated the ghost eye. Steve was managing things exactly the way I needed. But then, I suddenly felt it. A strange, subtle sensation sparked deep inside my left eye. My ghost eye was finally about to upgrade. The magician's sequence heavily boosted my mental energy, and that constant use had completely pushed my ghost eye straight to its breaking point. It hit exactly like a scorching iron shoved directly into my eye socket. I convulsed. The pool water wildly churned and sloshed over the edges. I tightly clamped my hand over my left eye, every single muscle seizing up. The crimson eye blazed with uncontrollable light, and my overhead view violently exploded outward. 3 kilometers, 5, 10. Everything within a 10-kilometer radius lay totally bare before me. Then, the sharp pain finally faded. I slumped into the water, gasping, drenched in sweat that mixed with the pool. Brand new system information settled directly into my mind. Sequence 91, Crimson Eye, Level 2nd Order, Skills Unlocked, Crimson Vision, Charming Gaze, Scarlet Mark, 10 kilometers of scanning range. Insane new abilities I had not even begun to explore. I lay there in the warm water, chest heaving, a massive grin slowly spreading across my face. Second Order, finally. I quickly reached for my cigarette pack with visibly shaking hands. The pack was half soaked from the pool water, but I somehow found one dry enough to light. That insane pain, like a glowing iron churning inside my socket, still painfully echoed through my skull. One deep drag, smoke out. I could finally relax. Second Order. At last, my ghost eye had truly evolved into something called the Crimson Eye. And that is where we leave it. In the reflection, that red orb looked terrifyingly alive, almost like it had developed its very own mind. Stick with me here. That worried me briefly, but I tested my control and could still easily suppress it. Awesome. This new upgrade was totally epic. My sensory radar just skyrocketed from 3 kilometers straight to 10. Plus, instead of getting 2 basic skills like normal people at second order, my past abilities actually combined and evolved into an incredible upgraded power. Alongside one totally brand new skill, Crimson Vision granted that familiar overhead radar, but massively expanded. But Charming Gaze? That was the real ultimate prize. It beautifully mixed deep hypnosis and mind control together. Now, I could easily command any creature ranking 1 tier below me. Against first-order beasts, I guessed I could freeze them for a whole minute, or make them battle for me for roughly 10 seconds. With ordinary humans, I could literally shift their long-term thoughts, planting fresh ideas in their minds. What a mysteriously powerful skill. Crimson Mark was entirely new. I could easily tag 3 targets, monitoring their exact location and status for 24 full hours. First-order beasts were totally helpless. Now, they would literally just stand perfectly still while someone completely took them out. While soaking, kept Crimson Vision active, partly for extra security, and partly for essential training. Over in the square, Steve managed the supply stash. One tricky old lady tried hiding village resources, loudly claiming they were hers. Steve immediately saw through the lie, pinned her down, and struck her hand with the heavy watermelon blade. Her grandson started yelling angry curses at Steve's wife, so Steve's energetic boy, Danny, rushed out and sharply smacked the kid with a stone. Watch closely as the tension builds here. Total chaos erupted, but Steve handled it. He boldly reminded everyone. The rules stood firm. Steal once, pay the price. Twice, it's game over. Nobody dared to try anything else. Then, the pool room doors gently swung open. Ruby confidently walked inside, wearing a white gown, hair still damp. She had washed up, changed into some fresh clothes. Steve found, and bravely came straight over here. Kneeling gracefully beside the water, she placed some clean clothes on a nearby rack. "Master, I brought you fresh garments," she whispered. I just mumbled without opening my eyes. She stayed put. I totally understood her clever plan. Among my normal crew, Steve was an amazing organizer. Sarah was our top driver. Ruby? She simply couldn't fight, scavenge, or manage the important supplies. Her one single defining talent was perfectly taking care of others. A bit desperate, sure, but that was her best method to stay close and survive. Slipping into the warm pool in a white swimsuit, she gently began massaging my scalp from behind. Her skilled fingers pressed the pressure points she learned from old videos, which she claimed helped her mother's migraines. Honestly, she was incredibly good at this. My heavy shoulder tension slowly melted away. Her soft hands moved across my back, gently tracing my old battle scars. Then her soft hands drifted lower down my stomach, moving south. I caught her wrist. She yelped loudly. "That is part of the massage." Her face turned scarlet. She lowered her head. "Master, I am untouched. I could offer full service. Please don't make me laugh." She looked up frantically. "It's totally true, Derek." His unique power had a major side effect. He was totally powerless romantically. He kept those girls around just to cruelly torment them. He loved watching them cry and beg, terrifying them into total silence. I paused right there, my eyes slowly drifting downward beneath the clear water. My own system was responding perfectly fine. I exhaled with immense relief. Thank goodness the system erased annoying side effects when stealing new abilities. Derek's stolen magic had transferred to me flawlessly, including that specific department. I could choose to ignore it, but I definitely could not afford to lose that function. So, I finally spoke up. "You feel this tension, right?" Ruby threw herself against me. "I swear I am completely untouched. You can verify it. If I am lying, end me." Derek literally couldn't do anything to us. He was just pretending. The others thought we were together, but he physically couldn't. I just survived by keeping him happily entertained through managing the other captive girls for him. In the pool, I tested my new charming gaze on Ruby. I really needed to know its limits. She claimed she would do anything, so I hypnotized her, commanding her to sink underwater, facing her absolute, deepest fear. She walked right to the center and slowly sank beneath the calm surface. 1 second, 10, 20. Suddenly, she burst straight up, wildly gasping and choking, eyes full of terror. The deep hypnosis completely shattered. If a harsh command completely clashed with someone's core survival instincts, they would dramatically snap free right at the final second. Good to finally understand these boundaries. "Just drop all your resistance," I softly told her, gently tilting her chin up to meet my glowing crimson eye. "In exchange, you stay by my side." Nodding through tears, she whispered, "I am willing." I reactivated. Charming gaze, softly planting thoughts perfectly aligning with her current feelings. Overwhelming gratitude for escaping Derek. Deep fears of ever being abandoned. Determination to prove her true worth. Absolute loyalty. Nothing contradicting her real nature. Just reinforcement. Pure insurance. 3 seconds later, she snapped back, totally unaware anything had happened. So what do we learn here? The planted ideas flawlessly merged with her own mind. As long as the thoughts matched her core desires, they stuck permanently. Trust me, you and I know Ruby was loyal. I just made it permanent. She flashed a nervous, eager smile, offering to help me unwind. This time, I did not hold her back at all. An hour later, I carried her upstairs. She completely underestimated the sheer power my second-order body was truly capable of holding. Her legs gave out. "I am so useless, master," she mumbled, clinging tight to me with totally guilty eyes. I gently set her in the finest room Steve's crew prepared. "Rest up and skip dinner," I told her. "I will get Sarah to bring your food. If you cannot move by morning, stay here." We leave quietly. She nodded, watching my every single step away. Walking out, I caught her soft whisper. "He carried me all the way up. He must really care about me, right?" Downstairs, Sarah waited, spotting me shirtless. Her face flushed bright red as she rushed over with fresh clothes, a brand new tee, and a jacket Steve's crew managed to find. Reaching her tiptoes, she pulled the shirt over my head, then dropped down to carefully zip up my new jacket. Her hair was spotless for the first time in ages, pulled into a nice ponytail, smelling faintly of clean soap. She wore a white blouse and tight jeans, clearly her absolute favorite outfit. 2 top buttons left open. "Dinner is totally ready," she said. 6 items: pepper eggs, braised beef, cured meat and cabbage, shredded potatoes, fish soup, plus spicy fish head. Rose and I made it all. My mouth was genuinely watering. "Now pay attention. After a month of stale bread, we get this. You eat with us tonight," I ordered. "Pack 4 portions first. Take 1 to Rose and Danny, 1 for Lily, and 1 for Ruby. Hand those out right now, then eat." Sarah's eyes lit up. She cooked for an hour, dizzy from those amazing aromas, but never dared to sneak even a single tiny bite. Rose waited too. "They needed my permission." "Thank you," she whispered, practically jogging to match my fast pace. Then, stepping right behind me, she let out a gentle sigh. "Thank you so much for remembering my daughter." A giant table stood right inside the quiet farmhouse courtyard. 10 steaming plates, 5 large bowls of fish soup, pepper, stir-fried eggs, braised beef, cured meat, cabbage, shredded potato, spicy fish head, plus perfectly fried eggs right in the middle. Hot pots lined the entire edge. "Look at this, Captain." Finally, Victor patted his stomach. "I've been suffering just smelling this feast." I just chuckled and strolled to the head of the table. Out of pure habit, Steve grabbed my chair and wiped it with his sleeve, even though it was totally spotless. Jake popped open a cold beer, sliding it my way. That beautiful golden drink bubbled up as thick white foam started rising high. Let's pause for a second. Hearing everyone laugh around that beer, you and I almost forget the world actually ended. "Yeah, let us drink," I softly declared. "Just pace yourselves. We leave by dawn." I then ordered Steve to box 2 huge portions up for Rose and Danny immediately. Then my eyes shifted to Sarah. She stood firmly on the side, ready to serve us, refusing to sit. "Box up the meals, sit down, and eat first. Your food will freeze before you finish delivering." Blinking in pure shock, she quickly nodded with a very sweet smile. The 8 of us circled the table, me commanding the head. Victor left, followed by Jake, Elena, and the newcomer, Vivian. Elena's quiet tactical genius from the truck. Sarah's empty spot was on my right, next to Steve, Frank, and Ray. Elena nervously stood up. "Captain, meet my friend Vivian. I invited her here without permission. I know this dinner is strictly internal. Just 1 extra pair of chopsticks. No big deal." I dismissed it easily. Vivian then approached for a toast, looking absolutely striking. Flowing dark hair, sharp fox eyes behind stylish glasses, radiating a totally cool, intelligent vibe. She carried a faint floral scent. "Thanks for having me, Captain," she smiled, clinking her cold glass right against mine before downing the entire drink instantly. She absolutely noticed that dismissive edge hiding in my voice. Right now, she was just Elena's extra baggage, a normal person who had not proven herself yet. And she knew it. She shot me one long, calculated look, then just sat down without saying another word. Very smart. Pushing too hard brings instant suspicion. The tension completely vanished. Victor boasted endlessly about catching our fish, while Jake apparently spent a full hour trying to fish with absolutely zero luck. "I was just baiting the water," Jake grumbled darkly. Everyone completely cracked up. Frank and Ray ate in total awe. The amazing meal completely silenced them both, while my own giant bowl kept overflowing. Sarah sat beside me, quietly pulling tiny bones from the fish to fill my plate. "Focus on your own food," I ordered. "You are way too skinny. Do not pass out while driving us." She paused, smiled warmly, and began eating, happily drinking 2 big bowls of soup, savoring everything. 10 minutes later, she carefully stood up holding 2 packed boxes and walked toward the RV. Even inside this secure base, a month of constant running kept her on edge. She held the warm food tightly, her eyes aggressively scanning for danger. Nobody moved. That brutal lesson in the square? You and I know everyone learned the rules. Stick with me here. Envious folks watched her pass, gulping, but nobody dared move. She unlocked the camper door, and a tiny, cheerful girl came running. "Mommy, you are back." Lily held up half a can of food, her big dark eyes shining bright. I saved some for you to eat. Sarah got super emotional. She scooped Lily right up. Mommy already ate, my sweet little girl. I brought you totally real food tonight, even fish soup. Lily looked absolutely amazed. Really? Did mommy have some yummy soup too? Sarah happily nodded, placing her daughter at the small table and opening the boxes. The amazing smell lit up Lily's face. Mommy, did the new daddy give this to Lily? Sarah totally froze, her ears turning bright red. He is the captain, not daddy. Just call him Uncle Marcus. Lily tilted her head. But if he is not my daddy, why is he so incredibly nice? Nobody except mommy ever gave me food this good. Only a daddy does that, right? Speechless, Sarah just playfully glared at her. Silly girl. Just eat your food right now. She rushed out of the RV, shutting the door fast and leaning against it with totally burning cheeks. Silly girl, she whispered playfully about her calling him daddy. Mommy would literally have to get in a long line for that. Dinner went super late. The mysterious crimson moon hung right overhead, casting a very eerie, magical red glow. Now watch closely. For once, nobody panicked. The safe zone held perfectly. No monsters, just happy folks pretending the world was totally fine. I leaned right back in my chair with the few empty bottles at my feet. A few drinks did absolutely nothing to me before, let alone now with my awesome second-tier body. Sarah stayed beside me, helpfully lighting my cigarette before I reached out. I gently patted her hand and stood up. Victor and Jake kept competing over drinks, faces flushed but eyes totally sharp. Elena fully crashed on the table. Vivian sat right beside her, sighing softly while keeping careful watch. Frank and Ray slipped away early, totally smart enough to know loose lips at parties could get you completely wiped out. That is enough. Rest up tonight. We leave at dawn. Everyone cheerfully nodded and split up. Steve walked over quietly. Where are we heading tomorrow? I quickly glanced north. The town with the epic third-tier serpent was there. Detour, northeast. He perfectly memorized the plan and left. Sarah was happily cleaning the table, moving quietly to not disturb me. I told her to sleep. She had to drive tomorrow. She paused, almost said something, and totally stopped. I could easily guess what she was thinking. She saw those marks on Ruby while delivering dinner upstairs. She wanted to ask where I would sleep, but I was already confidently walking away. Right outside the courtyard, Vivian was eagerly waiting. She stepped forward the second I appeared. Captain, can we quickly talk? I brought her into the guest house. She definitely did not sit down right away. Instead, she pulled a super small item from her pocket, confidently handing it over. An awesome handmade wireless earpiece, finely crafted with tiny metal patterns, like Elena wore, but way better quality. 5-kilometer range, Vivian proudly said, finally sitting. I made a dedicated channel. It connects dozens of people at once. I carefully turned the cool earpiece over in my hands. How many do you actually have? Just this pair now, but with good materials, I can make plenty. It is totally easy for me. What is your background? Mechanical engineering professor specializing in compact wireless tech and precision instruments. I can also handle mechanical fabrication. Give me tools and parts. I will turn your cars into armored beasts. I stayed quiet. She was not finished. With enough materials, I can build a vehicle radio with a 20-kilometer range, easily catching other amazing survivor group frequencies. You and I both know this is huge. Basic generators and positioning devices? A radio. Finding other survivors was exactly what my shepherd needed. More people meant faster progress toward the next epic evolution. What do you want? I asked. She looked me straight in the eye without flinching. A real seat at the table, not for supplies. I need no extra share. I want a recognized position, will stand to respect, and a guarantee that I will never be tossed away like simple trash. She wanted true dignity. In a wild world where ordinary folks seemed expendable, she wanted to be seen as someone important. I studied her determined face for a long time. You joined Dawn Convoy as Forge Master, I confidently said. Official ability, crafting spirit objects. You get awakened status, earning the same treatment as Frank and Ray, slightly below Elena. The system will evolve. Victor and I eventually get bigger shares as second-tier fighters, which compresses all those lower levels down. But you will always be treated as family. She stared at me, mouth open, completely stunned, speechless. She was still in a joyful daze. Leaving the guest house, Later, she found Elena's room completely empty. Pure panic set in. Elena's terrible sense of direction meant she could easily wander right outside the entire safe zone. Vivian searched the village frantically until she found Elena crouched in a small grove, crying loudly in the dark. "You big goofball, why skip your amazing earpiece?" Elena tightly hugged her waist, crying, "Trust me, you and I will absolutely love what happens next. Alright, let's jump right into the drama." Elena's completely panicking. "He's got 2 girls around him already. You're way too pretty. What if he please?" Vivian just rolled her eyes, patting Elena's shoulder. "I was purely there for business." Elena sniffled, grabbing Vivian's hand tightly as they headed back. "What kind of business?" Vivian smirked. "I officially joined Dawn Convoy as an awaken. No more holding you back." Elena's face instantly lit up. "Wait, seriously? That's incredible. You were never useless. I'd be gone 10 times over without you." Wiping her nose, she smiled. "Marcus really does have great judgment. I'm absolutely trusting his lead from now on." Vivian just smiled quietly. She had been studying Marcus all day long. She easily spotted what made him completely different from every single leader they'd met. That's exactly why she finally stepped out of the shadows. "I finally reached the guest house around 11 p.m. Outside, the crimson moon painted the whole room in this eerie, cold red glow. Ruby was curled tightly in the corner, hugging her knees and staring at the door. "Those food containers Sarah brought earlier? Scraped, absolutely clean." When she spotted me, her eyes sparked like a lost puppy finding its owner. "Hey, don't move," I told her. She was still totally exhausted from the afternoon. I threw my jacket down and just collapsed onto the mattress. A real bed. Here is where you and I really feel for him. After 30 days in a pickup, a mattress is magic. I groaned in pure relief. Ruby slowly crept closer, super cautious, like a little cat. Keeping her distance, she whispered, "Can I hold onto you while I sleep?" I stayed totally quiet, taking my silence as a yes. She pressed against my back, whispering gentle thank yous until she drifted off. "Just call me Captain," I told her, "not Master, especially not in public." Instantly, she tensed up completely. "Did I mess up?" She panicked. "I can still." She yanked the blanket back, totally ready to offer herself again. "Relax, it's just a title." "Master looks sketchy in public." She hesitated. "But when we're alone, can I still use it?" I could literally hear the insane amount of courage that took. That word felt uniquely hers. It was her one tiny claim on me that absolutely nobody else had. "Whatever." She tied her hair back and started massaging my shoulders. I just gave up the argument and let her work. Her hands were magic. I passed out. Next morning, the dim sun slowly rose over Peach Blossom Village. The entire convoy stirred awake. Steve was up first, as usual. His wife Rose had actually saved last night's dinner. The container was completely full. She and Danny barely ate just to save him more. "You two eat. I'll grab something fast." Grabbing a simple can of porridge, he walked off without turning around. Rose quickly wiped her tears away in secret. Danny pushed his food toward her. "Mom, you eat. I'm full." She practically forced him to finish it before taking a bite. "Danny, the captain is our lifesaver. Always remember that." The boy nodded fiercely. "When I grow up, I'm totally working for the captain. If I ever awaken powers, I'll fight for him. Then you and Dad can finally rest. You and I both love this, right?" Rose smiled warmly. In this wild world, fierce loyalty in a 12-year-old is absolutely priceless. Over at the RV, Sarah was already crouched down, checking the tires and tapping the walls. Super thorough and totally experienced. Spotting me leaving the guest house, she immediately jogged over, handing me a warm enamel mug. "Breakfast is ready, Captain. Eat while it's hot." Rice with braised beef and crispy pickled vegetables. I just looked at her for a second. "Did you eat?" She nodded super fast. "Already did." I obviously didn't believe her, but dropped it. Inside the RV, Aunt Lily was sitting at the table, beaming up at me. I casually ruffled her hair. A second later, Sarah burst inside. I totally panicked. Probably terrified. Lily had just called me. "Daddy again. Everything okay?" I asked. "Fine. Nothing." She gulped, nervously eyeing Lily's huge grin. Then I spotted the empty wrappers by Lily's seat. Plain bread for breakfast. Sarah saved the premium food for me, feeding herself and Lily dry bread. "Next time, make the exact same meal for everyone." The kid is still growing, I told her. I split my awesome breakfast right in half, handing it back. Eat more yourself. You're getting too thin. I can't have you fading at the wheel. I walked straight to the bedroom without another word. Behind me, a tiny voice whispered, "Mommy, is Daddy being nice to us?" Sarah's voice cracked with emotion. "Yes, sweetie. He's really looking after us. Mommy is amazing. She found me a new daddy in just one day." Sarah quickly shooed Lily back to her food, stepping out of the RV with burning cheeks. Outside, Ruby was approaching carefully, still hurting from yesterday's events. Sarah immediately noticed the faint marks peeking above Ruby's collar. She stayed perfectly quiet, just gently handing her a water bottle. "Drink up. Your lips are dry." Ruby's eyes instantly welled up. "Thank you, Sister Sarah." Sarah paused for a second. "The captain seems harsh, but he's a genuinely decent man underneath. Stay close to him. He won't mistreat you." She truly meant it, but a complex feeling stirred deep inside her. Not pure jealousy, but absolute envy. "So what do you and I take from this?" Sarah envies Ruby's bold courage, while she just quietly drives, cooks, and stays back. "Let's dive in." I came downstairs, and Sarah instantly offered a lighter. Checking the vehicles, I confirmed we were absolutely ready to roll. Then Steve reported a major problem. Someone vanished from the wolf convoy. A woman whose husband previously fell to those vicious monsters. Her 14-year-old daughter was tragically lost to Kyle's cruel group. Overnight, she couldn't take the sorrow and faded. Right below were the wrecked remnants of Kyle's guys. She found them, taking fierce revenge before her own tragic departure from this harsh world. My crimson eye scanned the tragic scene for just 1 second before looking away. Convoy, move out. 30 minutes later, we left Peach Blossom Village behind. 10 safe hours remained, but nobody complained. They totally understood. Once time expired, the monsters returned. Only our moving convoy guaranteed survival. Sarah expertly drove the massive RV, resting perfectly still in the passenger seat with eyes closed. My crimson vision swept 10 kilometers every direction. Our giant convoy of 183 people and 22 vehicles crawled at 20 kilometers hourly. Going faster meant losing around 100 trailing survivors riding basic electric scooters and simple bicycles. Some wildly pedaled shared bikes, standing up, absolutely terrified of falling far behind. If too many vanished, my Shepherd member count would crash below the required threshold. I absolutely couldn't allow that. The road stretched through abandoned farmland and dark forests. Everything stayed completely quiet on radar. Zero monsters ahead. Sarah drove in pure, focused silence, just checking direction once. Straight. Then, I saw it. Now pay attention here. Yesterday's town hit my 10-kilometer range. The exact place holding that third-order serpent. I carefully scanned the whole town. A complete sweep this time, way beyond a quick glance. No other creatures lurking anywhere. That massive 1,000-scale serpent claimed the entire town as its personal territory. All lesser creatures fled. It stayed coiled in the central square. Its massive car-sized head reared up. That crimson tongue tasted the air. Then it stopped, staring right at me 8 kilometers away. Using only my crimson vision, totally, physically absent, yet it still sensed me. How is that even possible? My heart completely seized up, like an invisible hand grabbed it. The massive serpent rose, a third of its 100 meters, standing upright. Those countless weird human arms growing from its scales thrashed wildly. Then I spotted a human face embedded right in its eyes. A woman's face. Black, void, like eyes open wide, staring straight back into my soul. A massive, invisible sledgehammer smashed inside my skull. Creepy whispers echoed. Thousands of voices chanted simultaneously in some ancient language I couldn't understand. Every single syllable drove into my brain like nails. My body froze rigid. Cold sweat completely drenched my back. I was losing my mind, drowning in the noise. Then my crimson eye rebelled. Blazing red energy erupted from my left socket. It spun wildly, and deep within my consciousness, I saw it. My crimson eye basically manifested as this massive floating eyeball, completely covered in pulsing scarlet veins, breathing like living things. That serpent's mental strike appeared as thousands of dark threads desperately trying to wrap and strangle the eye. You won't believe this counterattack. My crimson eye rotated once, snapping every single thread. A red beam shot from its pupil, racing along the broken lines, tracing the attack straight to the source. My crimson vision instantly followed that red beam straight into the powerful serpent's mind. I was standing inside a gray void. Countless creepy arms reached from the ground, desperately grasping at nothing. Right above me hung that woman's face, the exact one embedded in the serpent. Her black, empty eyes were wide open, staring down, but not at me, at my crimson eye. Two inhuman forces facing off across miles of absolutely empty mind space. I could clearly feel exactly what my eye felt. Zero fear, zero anger, just hunger, a raw, primal craving, like a starving wolf spotting fresh meat. It desperately wanted those black eyes. It wanted to consume them. That intense desire almost completely dragged me under. I nearly lost myself to the reckless urge to charge over, defeat the giant serpent, and rip those dark eyes right out. I forcefully pushed the impulse down and severed our connection. My real eyes snapped open. Sarah's frantic voice hit me instantly. Captain, what's wrong? Red tears were streaming down my face from my eye. I wiped it, and my hand came away fully red. Nothing. Just keep driving. She totally swallowed her questions, but her hands shook on the wheel. Ruby came rushing wildly from the back, eyes completely panicked. Captain, your eye is leaking. She grabbed wet wipes and gently cleaned the crimson off my face. 3 wipes until it stopped. I firmly told her I needed to lie down. She followed me into the small back bedroom, 5 square meters, just a simple bed. The absolute moment that door fully closed, I just collapsed. My heavy skull felt like it was filled with wet cement. That third-order serpent's mental attack pushed way beyond what I could safely handle today. If my powerful crimson eye hadn't fought back autonomously, I would have lost my mind completely. Ruby placed my head on her lap, trembling fingers massaging my temples. And trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. Let's jump in. She looked totally terrified, seeing me straight out of a nightmare seconds ago. But she asked 0 questions, just doing what she knew best. With my absolute last scraps of willpower, I did something incredibly reckless. My crimson vision expanded uncontrollably toward the serpent once again. This time it did not attack. Its eye face closed. Maybe our clash cost it something too. I used that window to place a bright energy mark right on it. A glowing red beacon flashed in my mind, enormous, blazing like a fiery star. Now, I would track the giant serpent for 24 whole hours. Maybe the real secret to upgrading my crimson eye to 3rd order was inside that beast. I couldn't let it vanish. Then everything went totally black. Later, I woke up and pieced together exactly what happened while I was out. Sarah just kept driving, gripping the wheel super tight, following my absolute last direction. She blasted right through several small villages without stopping, having 0 clue if wild monsters were hiding there. Her one strategy? Keep moving and pray. I woke up. Inside the RV, Ruby held my head in her lap, massaging non-stop, totally ignoring her hands going completely numb and her legs losing all feeling. Silent tears kept streaming down her cheeks. She had 0 clue what was wrong with me. She just knew if I was gone, her whole world ended. Meanwhile, Jake suddenly went totally rigid in the Land Rover behind us. Now watch closely. Victor sensed 2 beasts 1,000 meters ahead before his entire skill completely blacked out. Gasping for air, Victor grabbed the radio immediately. Captain, we have 2 creatures 1 kilometer out. Do we engage? Absolute silence from my end. The radio crackled. Then Sarah's voice came through, totally strained, but incredibly steady. The captain is resting. Handle it yourselves. He trusts you both completely. Later on, I slowly pieced all these crazy events together myself. Sarah dropped the radio, gripping that steering wheel so hard her knuckles went completely paper white. When Ruby left the bedroom, whispering that I had fainted cold, Sarah's whole world collapsed. But she quickly made a massive choice. She kept the secret. If the convoy knew their leader was unconscious, everything could instantly unravel. Hearing Victor radio, about 2 monsters ahead, she halted the RV and forced her voice to stay totally calm. The captain is resting. Handle it yourselves. He trusts you. Absolute silence. Then Victor's voice cut through, careful and incredibly probing. Resting? Is he okay? Totally fine. Just super tired. Needs sleep. She could seriously feel his doubt. A second tear awakened. They absolutely do not need naps on a monster-filled road. But Victor, just let it slide. Inside the Land Rover, Jake crushed his cigarette and stared hard at Victor. Sleeping right in broad daylight? Victor shook his head. Something feels really wrong, but we have 2 monsters to kill first. Back in Elena's SUV, Vivian had already connected the dots. She turned and whispered quietly, "Marcus is down." Sarah's voice was way too controlled. "She is definitely hiding something. He would never just say, 'Handle it yourselves.' He is probably out cold." Elena's fists clenched. "I will find out now." Vivian instantly stopped her. "You and I know exactly how dangerous this is. We must play along and maintain Sarah's lie. If anyone senses our leader's weakness, things will get incredibly ugly fast. We just wait for Marcus to wake up." She handed Elena the dimensional stomach. "Visit the RV later. Just confirm he is really sleeping. Come back and tell everyone the same story." Meanwhile, at the absolute back of the convoy, Steve figured out the exact same thing independently. He grabbed his massive watermelon knife, scanning every single survivor with ice-cold, dead eyes. If anyone tried anything, he would hold the line entirely himself. "I must find Elena," he muttered. "She would never betray the captain." Meanwhile, exactly 900 meters ahead, Victor finally led the fight. They faced 2 first-order beasts, a bullhead and a skin splitter, heavily wounded from fighting each other. Still extremely dangerous, but definitely weakened. "Fast and clean," Victor shouted. "Jake and I will crush the bullhead. Elena, take Frank and Ray against that disgusting skin splitter." Ray impressed everyone. His unique Strider sequence made him even faster than Elena, charging the skin splitter like a literal bullet. He quickly regretted it. The monster's remaining arm nearly took his head clean off. "Help! Frank! Move!" Elena's cold voice cut through. Ray hit the dirt without even thinking. Her blade sailed right over his back, carving deeply into the skin splitter's neck. Dark fluid sprayed everywhere. Frank looked down at Ray on the ground. "Very nice reflexes. You hit that dirt fast." "I was drawing its fire," Ray stammered, face burning red. Victor and Jake easily finished the bullhead in mere seconds. Victor's bone club sent it flying with one huge hit. The insane gap between first and second tier was absolutely enormous. Jake followed up with his skinned axe, brutally splitting its skull. The axe's brutal side effect violently tore skin straight off Jake's own arm. Victor's arms turned pale from his own weapon's cost. Small prices. Both nasty creatures fully down in well under a minute. "Trust me, our fighting power totally skyrocketed." Elena collected the epic drops of bullhorn and a weird crystal, safely storing them inside her dimensional stomach to bring me later. Steve rushed over with fresh bandages and pure alcohol for Jake's wounded arm. "Stick with me here." Victor checked the convoy. "Everyone's safe. Totally quiet." He grabbed his radio. "Captain, those creatures are eliminated," Sarah replied, keeping her voice incredibly steady. "Great job. Keep moving." Victor hung up the line, staring at that RV for a long, dramatic moment before turning away. "Let's go." Elena walked toward her SUV, but Steve suddenly jogged up. "Miss Elena, hold on. Could I please borrow your earpiece? I pieced together those wild 8 hours from later chats. The second I passed out, our entire convoy became a fragile house of cards held by one lie." Brilliant. Steve figured everything out first. He marched right over to Elena, asking to borrow Vivian's specially crafted earpiece. Elena felt super suspicious, but Vivian's voice answered firmly, "Give it over." Steve whispered into the device, "I am his loyal dog. If he falls, I fall too. Do you catch my drift?" Vivian gave him the exact same advice she gave Elena. "Stay quiet. Watch everyone." She would handle Victor's side completely. Steve casually returned the earpiece, strolling back to his car silently. His trusted watermelon knife sat ready. Inside the RV, an emotional Ruby left the bedroom, face pale, super puffy. "Sarah asked about me. I just cannot wake him up." Sarah felt her heart absolutely plummet. "Go back inside, guard him and never come out." She kept driving along my final route, bravely zooming past empty villages and factories. She had zero clue if creepy monsters hid inside them. Now watch closely. Waiting was her one single strategy. Victor sent Elena over to the RV with epic battle spoils pulled right from the dimensional stomach. Elena handed the cool horn and weird crystal to Sarah, avoiding the closed bedroom door. Elena simply peeked once and vanished. Sarah practically melted in pure relief the second she walked away. Everyone totally knew, yet nobody spoke up. Victor and Jake sat puffing away in their Land Rover. "Something wrong with Marcus?" Jake asked aloud. Victor just deflected. "Sarah is terrified we will discover the truth." So he is likely unconscious, not simply sleepy. Pressuring her right now means she panics, making things way worse. She would never, ever harm him, right? Victor stared at Jake like he was completely clueless. She cannot survive one single day without him. Losing him scares her way more than us. Starting the engine, he muttered. We just pretend we are clueless. If those guys try anything, we stop them. Steve, has the other survivors totally managed? Jake sulked. Why did nobody tell us anything? As if we would ever hurt Marcus. Victor just smiled mysteriously. They were the old tough leaders, while Victor was simply second in command. Folks did not distrust them, but taking chances felt way too risky. Meanwhile, Vivian calmly reassured Elena. Victor is absolutely not rebelling. Just watch. He brought Frank and Ray over, keeping them incredibly close so they never discover the truth or plot anything. You and I both know that is pure protection. So what comes next? I'm making lunch, so eat up. By pure luck, the convoy drove 2 hours without seeing monsters. Sarah valiantly skipped stopping at any creepy abandoned villages or factories. Once the exhausted bikers started lagging behind, she finally pulled over near a lovely stream. Grabbing the radio, she announced, 1 hour break, shifts for Eden. Stay fully prepared to roll. Everyone nailed their roles beautifully. Steve organized folks, while Victor kept the others close. Elena rested inside her SUV, holding her sharp blade ready. Vivian happily cooked. That fragile illusion held strong. Nobody ruined the act. The awesome reputation and respect I built kept our convoy steady while I snoozed. Exactly 8 hours after passing out, my eyes fluttered open. Ruby hovered above, her red, puffy eyes dropping fresh tears right down her cute cheeks. Her tiny hands were still robotically massaging my temples. She never stopped once. Her poor legs had gone totally numb under my heavy head hours ago, yet she stayed perfectly still. How long was I out? 8 hours? I panicked. Does Victor know anything? Did monsters attack us? Ruby attempted standing, but instantly collapsed. Her legs were frozen. She had sat frozen in that exact same posture for 8 whole hours. Sister Sarah hid your condition from everyone perfectly. She ordered me to stay hidden inside the bedroom forever. We paused our journey twice, but I missed all the outside details. I sat up on the bed, massaging my aching head, feeling slightly groggy, but definitely much clearer. Ruby shook uncontrollably from sitting paralyzed for 8 long hours. I gently pressed some soothing pressure points on her legs. She flinched, turning bright red. You can walk normally very soon. I confidently approached the door. She sniffled behind me, eyes incredibly raw. Master, are you truly all right now? Glancing back, I saw her teary face and chewed lips, kneeling there like an adorable lost puppy, motionless for 8 hours, carefully massaging my head, completely terrified to stop or budge an inch. I am totally fine. You did amazing. She started crying again, but this time from pure relief. 8 terrifying hours instantly erased by my words. And that is exactly where we leave it. Sarah sat completely frozen up front, but the second my door opened, she spun around fast. Come along with me here. The second she saw me, her eyes turned red. Captain. She sprinted over, then froze completely, hands shaking, terrified to even touch me at all. She just gripped her shirt nervously instead. You are awake. I sat by the window, lighting a cigarette. Her lighter sparked instantly. Tell me everything. She talked without stopping. Every detail of those 8 hours. Victor discovering those 2 monsters. Her risky choice to hide my state. The fight. Elena visiting. Steve warning Elena. Victor keeping Frank and Ray extremely close. Vivian managing everything behind the scenes. She spoke until her throat felt completely dry. You did great, I said. She froze. She expected anger, suspicion, interrogation, not praise. Her tears finally fell, shoulders shaking, biting her lip to stay quiet. I was so incredibly scared. Afraid you wouldn't wake. Scared the convoy would shatter. Scared Victor would break. I am awake. It is done. She nodded really hard, wiping her face. Her entire world was finally propped back up. I stepped outside. The sun was sitting low. The crimson moon would rise soon. Steve spotted me first and practically sprinted over. Captain. His eyes were red. I patted his shoulder. Fantastic work. I strolled over to where everyone was chilling around a cozy little fire. Victor, Jake, Elena, Vivian, Frank, and Ray all jumped up instantly seeing me. Captain. Victor grinned widely. but deep worry flickered in his eyes. Elena looked teary. She was totally holding back tears. Vivian stayed cool, but her mouth lifted into a very tiny smile. Frank and Ray just stood awkwardly nearby. They had zero clue anything crazy happened, just showing their usual respect and healthy caution around my presence. "Everyone eaten?" I asked. Victor laughed. "Rose made dinner. Join us, Captain." I sat down and grabbed a box of food. Jake couldn't hold back. "Captain, are you alright?" I was tired. Took a nap. I waved him off. Jake blinked, then nodded vigorously. "Right. Totally normal. Everyone needs sleep." Victor rolled his eyes hard. Elena shook with some quiet, joyful laughter. Vivian patted her back, sighing. "I finished eating in 3 minutes. We camp here tonight. We move at dawn." Victor, Jake, Frank, Ray ate and keep watch tonight. "Yes, Captain." Back inside the RV, I closed my eyes and checked my crimson mark. Watch this closely. The red beacon remained. That 1,000-leg serpent sat 80 kilometers away. My stomach instantly dropped. "Sarah, how far did we drive today?" "About 100 kilometers. The cyclists slowed our pace. 100 kilometers. I purposefully drove in the absolute opposite direction of that serpent's territory. If it stayed put, it should be 100 kilometers away. But the mark said 80. That massive serpent was heading straight for us. It absolutely followed the crimson mark I left on it. Or maybe it tracked my crimson eye scent. Either way, a terrifying third-order monster was rapidly closing the gap. Could it cross 80 kilometers in a single night? I stared at that red dot in my mind, intense urgency tightening my chest. But running was impossible. Not without leaving those survivors on bikes and scooters behind. The shepherd needed them. If my count fell below 100, the week-long countdown would reset, wasting all that precious time we spent. A month in this apocalypse toughened up ordinary folks. Anyone too slow was already gone. But even strong, hardened survivors have clear limits. If I ordered everyone to march again in pitch darkness, they would collapse and fall behind anyway. Honestly, forget it. We wait and watch for now. I shook off that mental fog and opened my crimson vision. 10 kilometers swept past, searching 2 kilometers ahead. Inside an abandoned factory, I found something. A dark creature crouched in the shadows. I know what you're thinking. 3 meters tall, stretched weirdly, limbs folded back like some spider, pale skin covered in wild stitches, like a broken doll. Zero face, just one massive, terrifying mouth splitting ear to ear, completely packed with tiny teeth. On its back sat a huge bulging cloth sack. Something inside squirmed. Dark liquid seeped through the rough fabric, hissing violently when it hit the ground. Acid, second order, weird scavenger. It suddenly lifted its faceless head, looking directly at me. My heart skipped a beat, but soon, it simply laid back down. Maybe it felt my crimson vision, or maybe it sensed the resting survivors. Either way, it was waiting, hunting 2 kilometers away. A second-order beast closes that instantly. And when the crimson moon rises, these monsters get insanely active. If left alone, it would absolutely hunt us. I made the call. "Sarah, gather all the awakened to my side." Steve guards the survivors. Victor, Elena, Frank, and Ray quickly assembled in seconds. I kept Jake behind to defend the convoy alongside Steve. 6 skilled fighters is overkill for first-order beasts, but a second-order scavenger, that was incredibly dangerous. Unknown territory. We walked. No engines, zero noise. 10 minutes, through the fading light to the factory's dark edge. Still inside, I confirmed with crimson vision. Exact same position. I laid out our plan behind a crumbling wall. "I will blast it with charming gaze right before you make contact. 3 seconds. That is all the time I can buy against a second order." Victor smashes the head. Elena slashes the limbs. Frank and Ray strike the neck. Fast and completely clean. Everyone nodded. Watch this incredible start. Frank and Ray gripped their weapons tight. "Go!" Victor boldly charged first, his crimson burst and iron hide fully activated. "You ready for this?" He swelled to 2.5 meters, footsteps shaking the earth. Elena launched off a wall like a cannonball, blade fully drawn. Frank and Ray quickly flanked from both sides. The monstrous scavenger shrieked, its massive mouth gaping open, yellow-green slime dripping from its teeth. Charming gaze. A blazing red light fired from my left eye, sweeping over the beast. It totally locked up, legs trembling, frozen stiff. Victor arrived first. His bone club swung a full arc, smashing right into the scavenger's skull. The massive impact rang like pure steel. The creature's head totally caved in, dark liquid oozing out. Suddenly, Victor's forearm turned completely gray-white. The bone club's backlash stiffened his skin after every hit. 3 seconds to move. Elena's blade struck the front limbs. But this beast wasn't like the spider. Her sharp sword sank in slowly, like slicing through thick clay. The scavenger's body convulsed violently, fighting my mental control. Frank and Ray attacked fiercely from both sides. Machete and crowbar crashing into its neck simultaneously. It's breaking free, Victor roared, winding up another heavy swing. Too late. The scavenger shattered my hold. Its bizarre, faceless mouth opened impossibly wide, releasing an awful scream. Not biological, more like metal scraping against glass. That awful noise pierced straight into our skulls. Victor flinched, his swing freezing mid-air. Its front limbs were gone, but it used its strong rear legs to launch itself like a cannonball, straight toward Victor. It could sense him, the strongest force, the biggest threat. I knelt down, pressing my aching left eye. A searing pain rocketed through my entire skull. Watch closely now. Every time I pushed those crimson limits, this exactly happened. Searing, burning, pure agony. But I absolutely couldn't stop now. Victor took that charge head on. He got his bone club up just in time, but the wild impact launched him like a speeding truck. He flew backward into a pile of scrap metal. The scavenger's sack suddenly split open. Black liquid sprayed everywhere. Nasty acid, hissing and eating through the concrete floor. Move. Elena boldly dodged, fast as a blur, but the creature locked onto her. That dangerous acid closed in from every direction. No gaps, zero escape route. She was about to be wiped out. I activated the magician's skill. Grand illusion, teleportation, 30-meter range. 1 use per day. Massive mental energy cost. My most precious lifeline. Brilliant red light wrapped right around Elena and she vanished. She magically reappeared 15 meters away in a corner, still wearing the totally shocked expression of someone about to lose it all. The intense acid she was trapped in melted a huge hole through the floor. Now, hit it. I dropped to one knee, hand clamped over my throbbing left eye, forehead veins totally bulging. I bravely forced the crimson eye to fire again. Bright red light washed over the scavenger a second time. It completely froze. Victor steadily crawled out of the heavy wreckage, wiping his bruised mouth. 2 cracked ribs. His arms had turned completely gray-white from the bone club's wild backlash. Frank and Ray were battered, but still fighting hard. Elena was completely untouched, just shaken. 2 seconds, that's all I gave them. They poured absolutely everything into those 2 seconds. Victor's powerful club cracked the creature's skull wider. Frank and Ray heavily hammered its neck. Elena decisively drove her blade deep into the scavenger's brain and twisted. It finally stopped. We all collapsed right there, gasping. Victor, with cracked ribs and pale white arms. Elena, drenched in sweat, that wild thrill still in her eyes. You and I felt that relief, right? Frank and Ray totally melted, grinning like absolute winners who survived. I casually lit a cigarette. The nicotine magically dulled the burning in my eye. Elena, check for those drops. She nodded, looking at me with pure gratitude, and returned with 3 epic items. The first one really made my breath catch. A second-order weird crystal, much larger than the one Victor used, with cool dark patterns dynamically flowing across its mysterious surface. The awesome description read, can strengthen a sequence or awaken a sequence in an ordinary person. Very tiny chance of backlash. Cannot be used for third-order advancement. It can awaken a sequence in any ordinary person. The natural awakening rate was less than 1 in 10,000. This shiny crystal bypassed that entirely. If word got out, people would relentlessly battle over it. Sadly useless for me. Both my sequences were already second order, and this crystal simply couldn't push to third. But as a rare resource, it was completely priceless. The second item was a piece of squirming hide from the scavenger's tough body. Stitched hide material for crafting cool defensive spirit objects. The third prize was a miniature version of the scavenger's acid sac. Spirit Object 3721. Corrosion Sac ability. Sprays corrosive liquid for attack. The cost? User gradually becomes allergic to sunlight until they can never walk in daylight again. You and I just solved the mystery. Rank 3721. Strong, but brutal price. That explains why the beast hid in shadows. waiting for dark. It couldn't stand it either. I stored all 3 awesome items in Elena's dimensional stomach, then radioed Sarah, "Bring the convoy here. 2 kilometers straight ahead. Abandoned factory. We cheerfully camp here tonight. Come along with me." 10 minutes later, the convoy rolled in. The massive factory offered solid buildings for perfect shelter. Not ideal, but miles better than open ground. Jake hopped out, immediately poking Victor's gray arms. "Man, what happened to you?" "Bone Club backlash. I'll just sleep it off." Victor winced, dragging on his cigarette while his busted ribs complained. "Second order creature. Yeah, that thing almost finished us." Jake watched me. Everyone noticed Elena somehow teleporting across the entire factory mid-fight. That absolutely wasn't a standard ghost eye ability, and Victor totally caught it too. I saw the massive question brewing in his eyes, but nobody asked. If I wasn't explaining, they weren't pushing. My increasing strength kept everyone safe. Vivian hurried over, frantically checking Elena's shoulder where that wild acid completely melted, right through her jacket. "Go change your clothes. Are you injured anywhere else?" Elena shook her head, jogging toward me. "Captain, going to change up now. Just wanted to report in." I nodded, watching those big, grateful eyes blink while she clutched Vivian's oversized jacket over her bare shoulder. "Amazing work. Go rest up. Tell everyone to clean and break. Meeting in 1 hour for loot division." I swept 10 kilometers using Crimson Vision once more. All clear. I powered it down, my exhausted head aggressively throbbing from crazy overuse. Tonight's epic clash felt worse than expected. Now, pay close attention. That scavenger completely outclassed standard second-order beasts, packing a built-in spirit weapon. If Victor faced it alone, he'd be totally finished. Sarah quietly appeared right behind me, holding a warm enamel mug of sweet ginger tea. Standing on tiptoes, she gently cleaned the intense battle mess off my face with a wipe. Her delicate hands trembled slightly. "Are you okay?" "I'm totally fine." She stared downward, nervously twisting her shirt. "Ruby and I were terribly worried. Lily kept asking when you'd return." That sweet confession completely caught me off guard. My mouth twitched into a genuinely warm smile. "I know." She walked away, glancing back 3 times, sweetly reminding me to drink that hot tea right away. Inside our massive RV, we kneeled on the bed, happily making it. She spun instantly as I entered, eyes exploding like fireworks. "Master, are you okay?" Sister Sarah mentioned there was major danger. Waving it off, I totally collapsed onto the mattress. Ruby climbed up, placing my tired head on her lap, gently massaging my temples with amazing, practiced precision. "Master, could you please be more careful next time?" I stayed silent. She didn't push. The room grew peaceful, just our steady breathing and the incredibly soothing pressure of her fingertips. Minutes later, I let out a satisfied grunt. She paused gracefully, smiling warmly to herself. 1 hour later, I gathered the entire crew round a blazing campfire. Vivian grilled fresh fish, perfectly sprinkling spicy chili flakes. The mouth-watering smell felt almost painfully delicious. I emptied my dimensional stomach onto a blanket. 6 wild items. From the scavenger, a bizarre second-order crystal, plus some stitched hide for crafting incredible defensive spirit objects, and the corrosion sac spirit object 3721, spraying epic acid but causing severe sunlight allergies. From the 2 first-order beasts Victor's elite squad defeated while I rested, a first-order crystal, a tough bullhorn, and a creepy human skin sheet. That shiny second-order crystal meant serious business. It could seriously strengthen a sequence. Plus, here's the absolute bombshell, awakening a sequence in ordinary folks. Natural awakening odds sit at 1 in 10,000. This crystal bypassed that completely. Useless for third order though. Both my personal sequences were second order, already, offering 0 direct help. But as a tactical resource, completely off the charts valuable. You felt that tension, right? Passing it around, everyone desperately wanted it. Vivian's eyes literally sparkled, seeing it could actually awaken completely ordinary people. "Elena absolutely gets this crystal," I declared. "Her sequence ranks highest among our first-order fighters. Pushing her to second-order super fast genuinely protects the whole convoy." Jake's face dropped briefly before forcing a wide grin. "Elena, you better seriously protect me after this." She hesitated, eventually accepting. She wanted it. No point hiding it. "Thank you, Captain." I will follow your lead. Victor, that corrosion sack is yours. Victor glanced over, shaking his head with a light-hearted smile. Captain, give it to Jake. I'll easily take a monster material. I refuse to become some creature avoiding the daylight. Jake's eyes teared up, completely tackling Victor in a massive hug. Brother, this is true brotherhood. Victor aggressively shoved him away. Get off me. I just refuse to live like a dark basement rat. Jake happily clutched the sack close. Well, I absolutely love the dark rat life forever. Victor totally ignored him, grabbing that awesome bullhorn. That left 3 final rewards. The first order crystal, the stitched hide, and the skin. I'll claim the stitched hide, I stated. You two split the rest. Frank and Rai stared back in absolute shock. Wait, we actually get something too? Ray's eyes popped super wide. You fought hard. You earned it. That is how Dawn Convoy operates. They exchanged incredibly stunned, deeply grateful looks. They realistically expected basic scraps. Instead, they each scored premium materials. With Vivian as Forge Master, custom spirit weapons were guaranteed. And trust me, you and I just witnessed the exact moment their true loyalty completely locked in. Stick with me here, because joining Dawn Convoy was their absolute smartest move. After dividing the loot, we enjoyed late-night snacks by the fire. Vivian had expertly grilled the last remaining fish from Peach Blossom Village. Crispy outside, tender inside, and perfectly spicy. Honestly, better than expected from a mechanical engineering professor. I washed it down with cold cola, bubbles fizzing. In this wild apocalypse, feeling this completely relaxed felt almost entirely illegal. I headed to the RV to sleep. The factory room Steve set up was clean enough, but a soft RV mattress absolutely beats a hard wooden plank any day. Sarah stood outside holding Lily, her face completely pink, clearly stressing over the sleeping arrangements in her head. These walls were super thin. You sleeping in here tonight? She asked carefully. The bed is already made, right? I walked into the bedroom without another word. Outside, Sarah, Ruby, and Lily stared at each other in complete silence. Ruby finally spoke, face crimson. Sister Sarah, I am going in. Sarah bit her lip. Keep it quiet tonight. Ruby's ears turned completely tomato red. She bolted straight through the bedroom door. Meanwhile, Vivian was having the absolute time of her life in the factory, happily tearing apart abandoned vehicles. She found usable parts for a radio and 3 walkie-talkies. Even better, she discovered 3 usable trucks, one actually having keys. The other 2 were older key ignition models. She rewired both in 10 minutes flat, converting them to push-button starts. Steve just watched with his jaw literally on the floor. 3 extra trucks meant easily hauling supplies and carrying those survivors previously struggling on bikes. Vivian told him to check with me about assignments, but Steve wisely decided to wait until morning instead of knocking on my RV door. The absolute best room in the factory went to Elena and Vivian after I passed on it. Now watch this carefully. Elena sat staring at the second-order crystal with an odd expression. Vivian, take this. Use it. Vivian completely froze. Elena nodded firmly. You are one of the most important people in my life. Without your own sequence, you are constantly in massive danger. This glowing crystal can awaken one. I really want you to have it. Vivian stared blankly, every fiber of her being screamed to accept it. With the sequence, she wouldn't be disposable, no longer an ant being crushed or traded away on a whim. She would become an awakened, someone who truly mattered. She bit her lips so incredibly hard. Then she smiled tired, grateful, resolute, and firmly placed the crystal back in Elena's hand. This is too valuable. Marcus gave this to you so you could hit second order. Using it on me is a total waste. Your massive upgrade matters much more. Elena shook her head stubbornly and hugged Vivian tight. Nothing matters more than you. She literally argued her case using childlike logic. Marcus didn't use a crystal to hit second order. He just did it naturally. I can feel it. I'm close to breaking through too. So, you take it. Vivian's eyes reddened. You silly girl. I really need to go ask Marcus first, Vivian finally said. He assigned it to you. If he says no, I won't touch it. He will definitely say yes, Elena declared. He's a good person. And if he doesn't, I will go convince him myself. He is, you know, totally weak to pretty girls. I will offer myself if needed. Vivian walked over to the RV and knocked. When I opened the bedroom door, I was just lying with my head on Ruby's lap. Ruby wore a white nightgown barely reaching her thighs, legs folded beneath her, face totally flushed, fingers still gently massaging my temples. Vivian's face went bright red, quickly looking away. Now, she truly understood why Elena kept calling me perverted. Elena gave me the crystal, she nervously said, eyes locked on the wall. She wants me to use it to try awakening a sequence. But it is entirely yours to decide. If you say no, I won't touch it. I lay on Ruby's lap, watching Vivian standing by the bed. I know what you are thinking. Messy hair, oil stains. Literally asking permission to use a legendary treasure that guaranteed Elena's massive second-order promotion. So, she actually just gave it to you? I said, half laughing. A guaranteed second-order upgrade. Handed over like candy. I was not thrilled. Elena's sequence definitely ranked much higher than Victor's. Getting her to second order would have made hunting those second order monsters significantly easier. With everyone at absolute peak strength, I started calculating if we could defeat the 1,000-leg serpent. Instead, Elena literally gave it away for sisterly love. If I was going to use a crystal to awaken an ordinary person, why not Steve, my most loyal follower, or Ruby, already conditioned, or Sarah, who always obeyed without question? Why should Vivian suddenly get it? If you don't agree, I'll return it right now, Vivian said, reading my tone perfectly. I simply waved my hand. What I gave Elena is strictly hers. What she does with it is her business. You came to ask. That's enough. I really don't need to hear about your entire sisterhood. We are about to find out how this goes. She stared, completely stunned, expecting rejection. Do it here, I added. I want to see crystal awakening versus natural awakening. And if something goes wrong, I can help out. Vivian nodded and pulled out the crystal. Egg-sized, luminous, swirling with bright light inside. Clearer than a first-order crystal. Ruby paused, absolutely mesmerized. Stick with me. We are about to watch a major power-up. She covered her mouth, suddenly looking incredibly nervous. Want one? I casually asked. She quickly shook her head, biting her lip before whispering that she really didn't deserve a gift like that. Just being alive and by your side is totally enough. I stared at her briefly, then turned my attention back toward Vivian. Vivian swallowed the crystal whole. It vanished instantly. She bit down on pure air. Suddenly, bright white light exploded from her skin, forcing Ruby to squint hard. Inside that intense glow, Vivian started shaking wildly. Her face twisted with intense strain. Sweat rolled down her forehead. She let out a loud groan, followed by sharp, uncontrollable cries. She totally collapsed onto the floor, curling into a tight ball. 1 minute, 2, 3. Watching her twist around, I honestly thought she might not even survive this process. Finally, the blinding light vanished. Color returned to her face as warm, incredible energy flowed everywhere. I clearly saw her muscles relax and heard her soft sigh of relief. She opened her eyes, revealing a faint, mysterious silver gleam flickering inside. Sequence 103. Machinist First Order Skills Unlocked. Precision Control and Mechanical Sense. Now, pay close attention here. With her engineering background, precision control meant her hands could easily rival heavy industrial machines. Plus, mechanical sense gave her a deeply intuitive connection to absolutely every machine nearby. Give her enough materials and she becomes a walking armory. Captain, I actually did it. Her eyes completely overflowed with pure joy and relief. That heavy month of constant fear was finally gone forever. She enthusiastically shared every single detail about her brand new sequence. 103. Machinist. Abilities. I sat up straight, smiling genuinely. Seriously, not bad at all. Maybe Elena actually made the perfect call. Meanwhile, Ruby watched from behind me, incredibly green with envy. She just couldn't hide it. Vivian, you are amazing. Vivian smiled warmly. Your chance will come. Ruby nodded, but definitely did not believe it. Just then, Sarah appeared, holding a warm cup for me. Seeing Vivian glowing with fresh power, she totally froze. You finally awakened? Vivian happily nodded. Sarah offered a highly complicated smile, mixing deep admiration, warm congratulations, and a silent, heavy ache. She quickly set the water down, nodded at me, and silently walked away. I just watched her leave without speaking. Vivian quickly excused herself, super eager to test her awesome abilities and tell Elena everything. Thank you so much, Captain. Once Vivian left, the entire room fell completely silent. Ruby stayed on the bed, rubbing slower, her eyes full of intense jealousy. Feeling jealous? I asked softly. Her eyes watered. I just wish I could help more. All I really know is this. I gently grabbed her chin, tilting her nervous face right toward mine. She flinched slightly. I am the one who decides, okay? Understood? She nodded incredibly fast. I completely understand. Being near you is enough. The rest of the night? Totally ours. Right outside that bedroom, Sarah sat on her narrow bed, staring into absolute nothingness. You know that crushing feeling, right? Seeing Vivian unlock powers she could never possibly have. Meanwhile, Lily slept totally undisturbed beside her with yellow earplugs. Then sounds drifted through those super thin walls. Sarah's face turned bright scarlet, quickly hiding under her cozy blanket. But then, almost completely against her will, she lowered it down, listening closely to the muffled drama next door. Ruby's voice carried clear hints of extreme shyness, deep dependence, and honestly, a little bit of showing off. Sarah just clutched her blanket, heart completely aching. She pictured my serious face, my eyes, my super flat voice. She drifted off, dreaming incredibly vivid things she would absolutely never confess to anyone. The next morning, I woke up entirely alone. Ruby had already vanished, leaving only a faint, warm scent behind in the messy sheets. I lit up and activated Crimson Vision for a 10-kilometer sweep. 3 first-order creatures, super manageable. Then I checked the tracker mark. That giant 1,000-leg serpent was exactly 50 kilometers out right now. It was 80 last night and we literally drove 100 kilometers the other way. The math was simple, yet absolutely terrifying. That serpent was aggressively hunting us, closing 20 kilometers overnight. I refreshed the tracker mark and immediately started planning our next escape route. Sarah greeted me outside with red cheeks, quickly composing herself. She knelt right down to tie my boots into absolutely perfect little bows. Breakfast was amazing. Rice porridge, pickled vegetables, and awesome smoked chicken. Ruby actually cooked this? Wait, Ruby can cook? I asked. Sarah nodded really fast. It is actually super good. She said she always cooked for herself before. Sitting at the table, I noticed Sarah and Lily eating quietly at the smaller side desk instead of joining the main group, carefully watching Lily. Sarah totally claimed their chicken portions were noticeably way smaller than mine and Ruby's. I told her to make the meals equal. She technically complied, but still shorted her own plate. I let it go for now. After breakfast, Vivian eagerly waited with 3 mysterious black devices. She stayed up all night long. She held upgraded walkie-talkies featuring a 10-kilometer range and crazy stable signals. She had successfully improved every radio in our convoy. Then, she set a small black box right before me. Trust me, you'll want to see this play out. It automatically catches radio signals across 300 kilometers. Absolutely zero manual tuning required. If anyone broadcasts within 300 kilometers, we will hear it automatically. Stick with me here. This meant finding more survivor groups for my shepherd. We had only rescued 12 total stragglers over the past 2 days. This changes everything. Install it in my RV. Told her, feeling genuinely impressed. My shepherd countdown showed 193 members, 127 hours left, 5 days. The next threshold would absolutely require more people. Finding survivors early was absolutely critical. What else can you build? Vivian's eyes sparkled. I have gathered enough parts to upgrade our vehicles. Better speed, stronger armor. And then she quickly pulled something from behind her back. A black metal handgun, solid weight. A Type 92 pistol. No ammo yet, she explained with flushed cheeks. If we find the right deposits, I can manufacture bullets. I took it, feeling the heavy weight, instinctively looking straight down the barrel. Useless against monsters, but totally perfect against regular FOs. Make more when you can, replied, tossing it back to her. Monsters are not the only threat out here. Victor's eyes narrowed immediately. Even at second order, a sniper round could still hurt him terribly. In this wild world, the hidden dangers were never limited to creatures. Victor's injuries from last night had completely healed by morning. Second-order regeneration was absolutely remarkable. Shattered ribs that would have taken months before were completely fixed overnight. I checked 3 first-order creatures on my map and assigned teams. Victor, the beast at 3 o'clock is yours. Solo, he nodded, no problem. Jake, Frank, Ray, take the creature at 5 o'clock. Exactly 3 kilometers out. Elena, you are with me. 3 vehicles rolled out in under 5 minutes. Watch closely. I drove Elena's SUV toward the third target. The car smelled faintly of sweet fruit, a mix of Elena and Vivian's scents. Everything inside was perfectly neat and organized. A soft blanket was laid out on the back seat for napping. Those two always protected each other. Captain, thank you so much, Elena murmured gently from the passenger seat, for letting Vivian have the crystal. I kept my eyes locked on the road. What I give you is yours. What you do with it is your business. She just shook her head. I know you wanted me at second order. The convoy needed it, but Vivian has saved my life so many times. I could not just watch her stay completely helpless. She stared at me, absolutely serious. From now on, you are the only captain I will ever follow. I just smiled slightly and stayed quiet. Then I slammed the brakes. Time to work. 500 meters ahead, a first-order monster was pacing. A ferocious boar, completely skinless, pure muscle totally exposed, with metal tusks as long as a man's arm, almost a full ton of charging fury. Elena drew her bright blade and stepped in front of me. I will engage. You control it. I will handle this. She blinked. Captain, wait. I met her gaze. She stopped arguing. I pulled out the spider shadow dagger and slowly raised it, not toward the giant beast charging at us from the front, but to my left. Elena stared at me like I had completely lost my mind. The beast thundered closer. 30 meters. The ground shook with every single stride. Elena's forehead was fully slick with sweat. You seeing this? At 30 meters, I fired both abilities simultaneously. Charming Gaze froze the monster mid-charge. Grand Illusion teleported it instantly to my left side. 1 second, it was a massive charging tank bearing down on us. The next second, it materialized right beside me, still carrying all its huge momentum, and its neck slid perfectly across my waiting dagger. The boar crashed past and collapsed in a brilliant flash of energy, legs wildly twitching. One single clean cut from its jaw to hindquarters. Elena's mouth hung completely open. This was the epic breakthrough I had been testing. Grand Illusion on its own was simply a survival trick. Basic teleportation within 30 meters. Imprecise and dangerous to use offensively because any tiny miscalculation could be fatal. But combined with Crimson Vision, I could clearly see every single centimeter of those 30 meters in perfect detail. I could place my target exactly where I needed it, timed to the literal millisecond. These two abilities together created something far greater than either one alone. 1 plus 1 did not equal 2. It equaled 10. I walked straight over to the paralyzed boar and pushed my sharp dagger in once. Pulled it out. Defeated. A creature that would have given any First Order Awaken some very serious trouble. Taken down in seconds without breaking a sweat. My left hand went completely numb from the dagger's backlash. I switched it to my right. Check for materials. We are heading back. Elena snapped out of her daze and quickly found a First Order crystal inside the remains. In the car, she kept glancing at me, totally bursting with questions, but trying hard to stay quiet. I could practically hear her anxious brain buzzing. Go ahead, I calmly said, lighting a cigarette and cracking the window. Is that your special ghost eye ability? A second order skill you never told us about? That is exactly why you only showed 3 skills. You were secretly hiding one. She looked so proud of her deduction. Do not worry, Captain. I will not tell anyone. Your secret is safe with me. I exhaled smoke. Completely wrong. Huh? Then what is it? Dual sequence. Elena's loud shriek suddenly filled the SUV. Then she slapped both hands over her mouth, eyes totally bulging. Crazy, right? Her face showed 15 emotions in 3 seconds. Shock, disbelief, excitement, then pure panic. Let's dive right into this crazy secret. You and I know keeping quiet is absolute torture for her. She hits me with those huge puppy eyes. Captain, my lips are sealed. Not a single word. Promise. Watching her overreact, I just smirked. Telling her was totally on purpose. I could not hide the magician skills forever. With so many eyes watching, dropping the reveal myself was smarter. This move boosts team confidence and completely locks in their loyalty. I told her to relax. Go tell Vivian. It was never meant to be a secret. Instantly, her eyes sparked like stars. Arriving at the factory, she tossed me a First Order crystal and practically flew toward Vivian with the best gossip ever. 5 minutes later, Victor and Jake came back. Victor handed me a white bullbone. Jake just shrugged with empty hands. What a cheapskate. Totally normal. First order beasts drop 1 or 2 items max, or sometimes nothing. Keep your loot, I told Victor. Heads up, I will be changing our resource system very soon. They looked super curious, but stayed quiet. Frank and Ray swapped nervous looks, but stayed completely silent. Then I smirked. One more thing, I have 2 sequences. Now watch this closely. 3 whole seconds of absolutely dead silence from the entire crew. Suddenly, Elena started giggling across the yard. Victor, your jaw is literally on the floor. How embarrassing. I just held out my hand. The spider shadow dagger materialized from nowhere. Hat trick, gone, then back again. That proved it. This was absolutely not a ghost eye skill. They all saw it. Jake dropped to one knee with wild, theatrical flair, hands clasped. I have searched my whole life for a true leader. Captain, please let me call you father. I just completely ignored his nonsense. But Frank and Ray were not laughing. Their faces turned pure white. Sweat was just pouring down their foreheads. Their legs were visibly shaking. They completely recognized the skill. Hat trick. Derek's magician ability. The exact same Derek I eliminated 2 days ago. You recognize it? I asked calmly. Ray's knees gave out. He hit the ground, copying Jake's pose with violently shaking hands. No, not at all. Your powers are incredible, Captain. I also want to call you my father. His face was gray with fear. He connected the dots fast. I took out Derek and somehow stole his sequence. Whatever insane power let me do that could easily be used on him too. I let them panic for a moment, then ended their misery. What I just showed you is indeed Derek's actual magician sequence. My second power is sequence 57, the Mirror Man. It lets me completely copy someone's ability, though the rules are very strict. We all love an overpowered skill, right? I can hold one. Copied power. Right now, it is Derek's magician. Jaws instantly hit the floor again. A top 100 sequence mixed with everything else. Jake just threw his hands up. Compared to you, do not even deserve to eat at the dog's table. Elena crossed her arms, cutting through the drama. Stop whining. The stronger our captain is, the better for everyone. I only follow his lead. It does not matter who else appears here. You have the ultimate golden ticket in this apocalypse to cling to. What else do you need? She paused, smirking. Besides, our captain is a really solid guy. He shares his treasures instead of hoarding it all. Just be glad he likes women. Otherwise, he would have you all lining up, thanking him for the honor. I tripped mid-step and instantly spun around to glare at her. Elena, you are on night watch. Totally alone tonight. She just stuck her tongue out again. Frank and Ray finally snapped back to reality. Looking completely drenched in sweat, like they nearly drowned, Ray just tightly clutched his chest. I really thought I was about to be erased from existence. Victor clapped them both on the shoulders. If the boss wanted you gone, you would never even see it coming. Since he told you, you were perfectly safe. Stop overthinking. Brutal comfort, but they accepted it. Underneath that sheer fear, I'd see absolute respect growing in their eyes. Hope Elena was right. I am the ultimate golden ticket, wrapped in heavy armor and glowing bright. Back inside the RV, I messed with the black radio that Vivian custom built. She made it completely idiot-proof. 2 large buttons, volume, and channels. 2 frequencies available. One scans for local survivor signals within 300 kilometers, while the other hits the national broadcast where James the Seer was transmitting. Static. 3 seconds of faint crackling, then pure silence. Ruby was dozing beside me, chin resting on her hand. Can this actually pick up survivors? Everything within 300 kilometers. Could we finally find a base? I glanced down at her. You want to visit one? She instantly shrank back, pulling Lily onto her lap as a shield. No, I am staying right with you. Lily raised a tiny hand. Me too. I switched over to the national channel. Absolute silence. 0 broadcasts. I switched back to the local scan and just left it running. By noon, the whole convoy stopped at a massive gas station. And that is where we leave it today. Jake and Elena smashed a first-order beast in minutes. His new gear is overpowered. You definitely want to see what happens next. Stick with me here. After lunch, Vivian brought some very interesting news. Frank and Ray approached her, wanting spirit weapons crafted right from their materials. And get this, they offered a precious first-order crystal as payment. I just nodded. I knew. The silence stretched out while Vivian waited patiently. She completely understood why. I had publicly introduced her as a Ford Master, but she kept her actual awakened sequence a total secret from everyone outside. To the rest of the camp, she just used the universal toolbox. A minute later, grabbed the toolbox from my watch's dimensional pocket. Spirit Object 99, the universal toolbox. Only me, Victor, Jake, and Elena knew about it. Vivian's eyes went absolutely wide. She finally realized why I gave her that Ford Master cover story before she awakened. The toolbox itself was the actual crafting tool this whole time. So this box is why you made me the Inner Circle's Ford Master. I smiled and nodded. Frank and Ray were still the brand new guys around here. They are not core members yet. You heard today's big restructuring announcement earlier. You are creating a hierarchy among the awakened, she said instantly. Smart woman. Exactly right. I am the absolute center. Victor, Jake, and Elena are the founders. You, Frank, and Ray are key members. Super important, but just not at that highest level yet. Second-order fighters simply cannot get the exact same treatment as first-order ones. That would be total chaos. I relaxed back. Now watch this closely. This was a massive test. I asked for her new resource system proposal, and Vivian quickly gathered her thoughts. Regular survivors still pay 30%. No changes there. But for the Awakened division, you take 50% of all supplies as captain. You use that share to provide 3 daily meals for our entire core team. I raised an eyebrow. 50%? All spirit materials remain under my control. You know what that means? Absolutely. Her eyes were sharp. Regular supplies barely matter to awakened fighters. But if you completely control the food and handle meals, nobody wastes precious time cooking. I have watched Victor and Jake literally survive on instant noodles unless they mooch off you or Elena. Frank can cook, but Ray absolutely cannot. Central meals solve everything. Plus, she paused, it means nobody can stockpile enough supplies to survive alone if they leave. They stay completely dependent on the convoy on you. I smiled. She caught the hidden logic perfectly. The remaining 50%, mostly snacks and personal items, splits into 10 shares. You and Victor get 4 combined. Elena and Jake get 3. Me, Frank, and Ray take 1 each. Spirit materials are even simpler. You hold absolute distribution rights. That is the ultimate lever keeping everyone completely loyal and our convoy stable. Absolute control over spirit materials, I repeated, studying Vivian's expression. You know how hard that is for other awakened fighters to accept? She smiled confidently. They will not object because you are strong enough, super important, and incredibly generous. You gave away a second-order crystal without hesitation. You share materials fairly. Everyone knows. You understand that a much stronger convoy benefits everyone. She placed the universal toolbox perfectly right on the table and pulled dark red material from the dimensional stomach, epic loot from the monstrous creature Jake and Elena had defeated at the gas station earlier. Jake and Elena both handed their epic drops to you voluntarily. You feel that too, right? Nobody forced them. They trust you, Captain. She was completely right. Let's do it. 50% of regular supplies go to the core leadership. Meals for everyone will come straight out of that pool. Steve's group eats from it too. The remaining 50% splits into 10 shares. 4 for me and Victor combined. 3 for Elena and Jake. 1 each for you, Frank, and Ray. All spirit materials come to me. Distribution based strictly on contribution. Vivian simply nodded, looking way more relieved than disappointed about her own smaller share. Security mattered way more than snacks. I showed her the toolbox and let her try crafting for the very first time. She added Frank's material with the basic machete. The tools magically came alive, hammering, carving, and shaping. She watched with the pure intensity of a scientist discovering a brand new element, frowning, nodding, and making little sounds of revelation. She produced a ranked machete sitting right around 9,000. Her vitality cost was around 270 points. Totally manageable. With 5 of us rotating energy duty, we could easily craft 10 items daily without any exhaustion. She quickly calculated. Higher rank materials will drain way more energy, I reminded her. Then I pulled out what I had already crafted from that scavenger's stitched hide. A black jacket, or at least what used to be one. Now, it was covered in creepy patches resembling living, breathing skin. Deeply unsettling stuff. A true spirit object. Object 4578. Abilities. Greatly reduces monster detection and blocks partial damage from creatures. Resists some mental contamination. Side effect. Continuously drains the wearer's stamina. A serious warning. So what do you and I make of this? One day, you might never take it off. 500 vitality points. I explained. The scavenger's second-order material produced something vastly superior and wildly expensive. Vivin just stared at it with pure fascination rather than disgust. Stick with me here. The scientist in her was absolutely thrilled. We rolled out the new system with zero complaints. Frank and Ray were beyond hyped to get real cooked meals instead of surviving on instant noodles. Victor shrugged. Jake totally didn't care, and Elena stayed quiet. Nobody minded me managing the spirit materials either. The weaker members never got much anyway, and our strongest fighters totally trusted me. So, I started a cooking team. Sarah took charge with Rose, Steve's wonderful wife, teaming up. Just two of them easily handled meals for our core group. Cooking earned you a packed meal, meaning Steve's family ate incredibly well. Meanwhile, Steve reported on our massive gas station haul. Every single vehicle was completely topped off. Plus, we safely stored 1,300 liters in one of the 3 trucks Vivian brought. Super smart move. He parked that fuel truck way in back. If it somehow caught fire, the blast wouldn't touch us. The second truck held our core team supplies, while the third was completely empty. Steve mentioned some survivors begged to ride in that empty truck instead of pedaling bikes. I just raised an eyebrow. An empty truck meant totally wasted space, and those slow cyclists dragged us down. Every lost minute brought that epic 1,000-leg serpent closer. Do any of your people need seats? Steve shook his head. They all had rides or claimed spots already. Steve explained the situation. About 20 survivors simply couldn't keep up anymore. Some had lost their electric scooters completely when the batteries died and no replacements were found. Others were older. They all stared at that empty truck like a literal lifeboat. These guys really dragged our pace. We only covered 20 kilometers all morning because of those annoying walkers. Watch closely. Things are tense. That 1,000-leg serpent approached fast. How many? I asked. About 20. They can ride, but their fee jumps from 30 to 50%. Steve nodded instantly. Absolutely no free rides in this apocalypse. He announced the rule, and complaints instantly erupted. 50%? Way too much. But Steve completely shut them down with one glare. Don't like it? Don't ride. Totally voluntary. Now be quiet and line up. 15 spots. The truck squeezed them in. Women with aching legs pushed through and signed up first. Within 3 minutes, all 15 slots were fully claimed. Remaining stragglers begged and pleaded, but Steve just snapped his notebook shut. No more room. Try next time. 10 minutes later, we moved. In my mind, that 1,000-leg serpent's red beacon closed another 20 kilometers. Only 30 away now. I sent pigeons and a swallow out scouting. Dove control reached across 3 directions. By evening, we safely camped on a hillside. All day, the crew brought me fresh materials to easily craft into cool spirit weapons using my toolbox. Minor, low-rank stuff, but every bit of power helped. The serpent gained another 5 kilometers. 25 out. At this rate, it easily catches us in under 2 days. I just couldn't understand why it kept pausing and starting. Maybe it was battling other epic monsters along the way. If it got hurt in a territorial battle, that could finally be my chance. My crimson. I still really craved those dark black eyes on its face. After absorbing its mental attack earlier, my detection range actually grew by an entire kilometer. I know what you're thinking. More power? Yes. But gambling with the third-order creature just wasn't affordable right now. Dinner was the first meal under this awesome new system. Rose cooked at the communal stove, braising cured meat with fresh vegetables. Simple, but that epic smell carried across the whole camp. Sarah grabbed another woman to help in the kitchen. Victor's eyes were basically falling right into that pot. Steve, your wife's cooking is seriously incredible. Jake cheered, happily smacking Steve's shoulder. All thanks to the captain, Steve mumbled, totally confused about when his wife got this good. Then Ruby sprinted over, chest heaving, face completely flushed. Master, the radio has a signal. That word master hung in the air. Elena's mouth just twitched. Everyone else was way too excited to notice. They jumped up, staring at me. I know. Vivian, with me. Everyone else, just keep eating. Sarah, save 2 portions. I walked to the motorhome with Vivian close behind. Ruby and Lily quickly got shooed away. Ruby playfully pouted, squatting outside the door while hugging Lily. What's so great about being taller than me? She muttered. When I become awakened summon, I'll outwork her so hard. Inside, Vivian adjusted the radio. Within seconds, a signal broke through the static, bringing crackling fragments of a human voice. Dawn Base survivors, welcome. The radio signal cleared up perfectly to make out the message. We are Dawnlight Base, located in Yongsi, Minggu District, Madu Town, Shaoan Village. Currently 700 survivors. All are welcome to join. We have food, safe shelter, awakened protection. A real base. My fingers drummed the table. Believable? I asked Vivian. She shook her head immediately. No way. That area just has ordinary villages. No fortifications or walls holding 700 survivors? What do you and I think? Only 2 explanations. Come along with me. Either they hide a mega powerful third order awaken, or it is a tricky trap to lure us. I flicked my lighter, the sharp click echoing in the mysterious silence. Eventually, I pocket it and stand tall. We are going anyway. That mysterious base is probably built around a super secure psychic totem. That is exactly why they are broadcasting so boldly. If they truly have a third order fighter, I eagerly checked the glowing beacon in my mind. That giant serpent is 25 kilometers back, still approaching. I just smile. Then we will bring them a fantastic gift. 200 kilometers away, in a peaceful village, Carl sits in a cozy radio room. Crisp white shirt and perfectly styled hair. He hardly looks like someone surviving this chaotic world. He takes off his headset, stretching happily. His tall, dramatic partner Lenny suddenly struts in, holding a list. Do you think we can really still fool people? Carl adjusts his glasses playfully. Of course. People see a glimmer of hope and chase it instantly. It hardly matters if it is real. Their spirit light convoy is running a sneaky scheme. This mysterious village surrounds a safe zone, requiring daily human captives just to stay active. 1 person per 100 regular folks, plus extra awaken. Needing daily offerings, they have been running through people all week. The scattered survivors they playfully lured in are almost completely gone now. Watch closely now. Other nearby convoys claimed most wanderers. If no fresh faces magically arrive, they will have to start offering up their own friends. Lenny excitedly hands Carl tomorrow's offering list. We are losing extras. Carl peeks at it. There is that tiny convoy with the wild girl refusing to cooperate. Everyone has been tolerating her. If no new faces appear in 3 days, someone must cheerfully volunteer to handle her group. Meanwhile, inside my cozy RV, I happily relax on Ruby's lap while she gently massages my temples. She seems incredibly nervous about something. Boss, did I cause trouble today? Calling you that in front of everybody. I definitely told her to skip the boss title publicly. She accidentally blurted it out when she ran over to tell me about the mysterious radio signal. Then she shyly reveals a chain leash and a rolled towel shaped like a funny whip. Her cute face turns completely red, looking ready to explode. You can scold me now. I just stare at those mysterious items. Even I cannot keep a completely straight face. My mouth twitches playfully. You are into this? So prepared. Am I scolding you or rewarding you? She looks like she might actually melt from pure embarrassment. I just thought you would like it. Put those away. Not interested. She nods frantically, hides everything in a cabinet, and quickly ties her hair into a cute ponytail. We swiftly move on to more familiar territory. Over the next 2 days, we drive straight toward the base. Vivian brilliantly uses her machinist abilities to track the signal. Roughly 30 kilometers ahead now. Sarah lacks the village's exact location too, and old maps are useless post-merger. Meanwhile, that massive serpent keeps closing in, exactly 25 kilometers behind us. I politely tell Sarah to slow down. The energetic survivors behind us are exhausted. Let them catch up. She looks surprised, but happily obeys, dropping to 20. In the rearview mirror, determined cyclists stand on their pedals, pushing hard so they never fall behind. We scooped up over 100 cheerful new survivors along the way. The convoy is growing incredibly fast. Captain, are we really just walking straight into this base? Vivian asks, face totally tense. What if they actually possess a third order awaken? I gracefully close my eyes, feeling the serpent's beacon pulsing wildly behind us. 30 kilometers to the mysterious base, 25 to the beast. Do not worry, I will scout first. You and I know he is scheming. If they have a third-order fighter, I smile boldly. I have a brilliant plan. My magical pigeons grant me clear vision ahead. Shaoan Village, beautifully called Dawn Light Base, is split into 4 unique zones, each officially claimed by a completely different lively convoy. The biggest group, Spirit Light, runs those radio broadcasts. They definitely aren't saviors. They are clever tricksters. This safe zone operates exactly like Peach Blossom Village. Daily human offerings required. 1 person per 100 folks, plus awakened extras. Spirit Light and other convoys have been cheerfully luring scattered survivors using radio broadcasts, only to feed them directly to the hungry totem. 1 dramatic week of this has burned through most of their expendable people. They are getting super desperate now. Through my pigeon's eyes, I catch a fascinating glimpse of something interesting in the smallest, southeastern corner zone. A determined convoy called Hope, led by a girl named Crystal. About 50 people and 3 awakened, but only 1 at second-order level. They are starving, eating once daily, bravely refusing to hand their loyal people over as offerings. We cannot miss what happens next. The other convoys delivered a wild ultimatum. Surrender 15 people, or vanish. 7 awakened against 3. The math is incredibly ugly. Inside Hope's base, everything is rapidly falling apart. Crystal's second-order fighter, Liam, has completely turned on her. He was saved by Owen, who passed away begging Liam to forever protect this very convoy. Now Liam throws that huge debt right into Crystal's face. I have repaid Owen's kindness 10 times over, he shouts. Other second-order fighters live like absolute kings. Romance, endless food, immense power. Yet here I am, starving, risking my life for these helpless nobodies. I'm absolutely done. He gives Crystal 3 whole hours before he and Howard officially join. Spirit, Light, stick with me here. Crystal either joins him or gets dragged along. After he left, she just sat alone on her couch, staring into space. Was I totally wrong? I snapped my focus away from the little bird and looked back at the massive, 1,000-scale serpent trailing us. I sent a pigeon to scout. The poor thing vanished in a poof of red the second it got close. But hey, what I saw first made me grin. That giant beast was hurt. Scales completely wrecked. Huge claw marks on its side, missing half its limbs. The fierce glow in its eyes, fading fast. Something epic battled it earlier. Maybe a massive turf war with another high-tier monster. It was weaker now, sure, still a terrifying third-order threat, but heavily damaged. Speed it up, I told Sarah. The RV blasted forward. She kept it at 40, fast enough to reach base, but slow enough for the cyclists to follow. Watch closely now. A glowing crimson sign appeared. Shaoan Village. A winding path led inside. 2 kilometers to the village. My enhanced crimson vision mapped the layout. 70 households tucked against the mountains. Forests on the left, open plains right. Wooden fences with barbed wire surrounded the entire perimeter. Just a basic gate with 5 guards. Drive straight in, I ordered. The entire convoy rolled forward. 50 vehicles stretching 100 meters, trailed by cyclists and pedestrians. Over 300 people in total. At the gate, the guards totally panicked. One grabbed his radio. A dragon is crossing the river. A guy named Drake muttered in shock, scrambling to send a crew to greet us. I mean, a massive survivor convoy rolling right up to their doorstep? We either looked incredibly strong, or just totally foolish. You and I know foolish people don't survive to reach this village. Behind us, that injured serpent kept coming. 25 kilometers and shrinking. I grinned. Delivery was almost complete.